It's a delayed start for us in many respects, ladies and gentlemen, but it's nice to be with you all the same on Australia Day. Zach Capen with you alongside Adam Lavis. Welcome to a truncated version of Monday Night Motorsport across YouTube and Facebook. At the end of what has been a very long and tiring weekend, no doubt, especially for those of you that burnt the candle at both ends watching the Rolex 24 at Daytona. Now, bad news for us off the top is I've got no power in Ipswich at the moment, part of a widespread blackout in this part of the world. So I'm here literally until the laptop runs out of juice, and then that's it. You're stuck with Adam Lavis for the balance of the evening. The second bad bit of news that we have to bring you is that we weren't expecting a race start until 7:45 Eastern Daylight Time. We've been stitched up, but we'll get to the bottom of that later in the week. So what you're seeing here is Super Formula Light from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. One of our favourite venues on the schedule, the first of the sprint rounds of the season. And at this point in time, you've got a good battle embroiled here between Marcus Watson and Brendan Grosh. And Scotty Hazler's got himself up there into third spot early in the front running. Adam Lavis, it's like we've spent all weekend in this bloody booth.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a hectic last week. Still, obviously, some stuff going on in the background, but yeah, and then tonight, just the double whammy of extra issues just to make things a bit more tricky. But yeah, hopefully, for at least a little while, we'll be good to go as normal and until hopefully your power comes back or the battery runs out.
Well, let's hope it's the former rather than the latter, because the battery in the laptop is 5 years old, so I'm not holding my breath for that one to run too far into the evening. We'll keep you across that as best we can, ladies and gentlemen. There'll be excitement right across the board if power comes back on, because right now it's like I'm in a furnace with no ventilation in here whatsoever. So it's like I'm in the cockpit of these Super Formula Lights with the drivers right now from a temperature sense, and a very cold shower awaits at the end of this broadcast. Let me tell you, have a look at Marcus Watson. He's got a work cut out for him here now, and Dan Yeaman's made it a four-way fight at the front of this field. This is why we love this venue, and this is why we love this category. It just throws up tantalising racing week in, week out. And now that Marcus Watson's got clear air, he's trying to take off and capitalise on that and make the most of it. And he's saying to the competition, catch me if you can. There was a commanding performance from him last week to get the job done in the opening round of the season. Smashed the field at Road America. Now we'll wait and see what he can do here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Just reminding you that we're off to the Algarve circuit in Portimão, Portugal, once we're done here for GT3. We're bringing you the pro split tonight. Whether that will have commentary or not very much depends on the fluid situation that is the power outage here. But the joys of technology enable us to at least be able to bring you some of this race, and hopefully the feature as well. So it's 10-minute sprint followed by a 15-minute feature. Short, truncated sprint race in the order of the day tonight. And here I am, just wondering why my internet doesn't want to play ball now that I've got the tablet open. So I've opened up the tablet to get the timing screen up. So I'm literally, I was just tooting my own horn yesterday about having 3 screens at my disposal, Adam. I've gone back to 2 because I'm on the remote setup the next couple of hours. Brendan Grosh passed Love the race 1 with 9.577 so far. Dan Yeaman's capitalised on some good speed early on to get the better of Scott Hazler. Hazler under pressure now from Connor Nixon, Aaron Cooper. Ryan Jones was good last week. He's back up there in 7th at the moment. Liam Banks, who was in the booth on Friday night calling on the GT3 action, he's in 8th. Chapo's back on the grid in 9th, and Chris Hen is 10th. Bondi just outside in 11th. Hamish Cleland down there in 28th. Lockhart Brownlee, Brad Hudson 27th and 26th at the moment, both on pit road. Watson trying to break the draft for Brendan Grosh halfway down the back straight. Yeaman under pressure from Hazler, and Hazler's going around the outside. Yeaman will do the same in return for the penultimate corner. There goes Connor Nixon squeezing down the inside as well. Hayden's sitting up at the moment. The floodgates are open. He can't contain them. Down the inside now goes Ryan Johns. He's lost 3 spots in 4 corners. Wowee. Aaron Cooper is right there on the mix too. And he's going to go through and add insult to injury. That's how quickly it happens, especially on a circuit as free-flowing as this. This is only lap 7. There'll be 2 to go at the line. They won't get 3. It'll only be 2, a 72nd lap rather around here. Now look at this. In behind Scott Hasler, you've got Liam Banks and Sam Chapman. So Hasler's not out of the woods just yet, still under pressure. White flag won't fly this time by, it'll be next time by, folks. So we'll do about 20 seconds of overtime here, maybe 30, to get the job done. Now it's on. Chapman to the inside. Goes to 7th. Hasler back into 8th. I hope you noticed the fog leak and the middle liveries look very similar at the moment for some reason. Now he's lost 8th spot too. Liam Banks going through. Nicely done. So Watson, Grosh, Nixon, Yaman, then Jones, then Cooper, then Chapman, and Banks. Watson's lead is only 0.7 of a second. The problem he's got is that Connor Nixon is the next one in line. That's the problem the rest of the field have got, is the deficit for first and second. It's 1.7 seconds now. Down the back straight we go. And Banks is under pressure now. Yaman and Jones are side by side. Banks is down the inside going to 8th. Yaman has got by Jones again. Jones back to 5th. White flag in the air. 1 to go in Canada. What about this for a start? It's a Monday night motorsport. The battery tells me, Adam, I'm down to 70% in 51 minutes, so at least we'll get through Super Formula Light. We're desperately on the lookout at the moment for somebody to take my place when the power does eventually let go on the laptop here, folks. If you want to try your hand at GSRC commentary, give us a hoy. Tonight might be the night in which you get the chance. I'm a bit disappointed for 2 reasons. 1, we missed the start, and 2, I don't get to send the full invoice tonight. Down the back straight we go, and the clock has expired. The battles continue, up and down the field. But at the front of it, Marcus Watson remains a class above. Second win of the term. 2 from 2 to start the 15 race campaign. Watson gets the job done in Canada. Beautifully so. Photos all round. Second went to Grosh, third to Nixon. He held off Yaman Cooper. Jones and Chapman were very close at the line. Only 900ths of a second covered them. Banks, Hasler and Luke Brooker made up the top 10. Some highlights for you now. This is what happened to Lockhart Brownlee. Dirt and grass, that'll do it every day of the week. Didn't really go for update. That 28 starters, Lockhart Brownlee a retirement. Mark Hilly going for a wild ride at the end of the back straight. In more ways than one. Holy cow. That's a violent crash if ever I've seen one. That's a written off race car. Very sore and sorry, Mark Hilly. Philip Rollo, Dale Sharp. Dale Sharp got like 2, 1 lap down the end. John Baldwin was a lap down. Brad Hudson's going to come home on the lead lap. The last one will do so in 24th position. Dylan Rollo's finished 2 laps down, and Lockhart Brownlee 3 laps down. Needed to get to the end of lap 7 to be classified in a 9-lap race based on 75% ruling. Well, there you have it. Watson from Grosh, margin 0.7 of a second. 2 seconds then back to Connor Nixon, Daniel Yaman, Aaron Cooper. Then Ryan Jones, who held off Sam Chapman, as I said, narrow margin that. Then Liam Banks, Scott Hasler and Luke Brooker, the top 10. Glasspool, Matson, Zamora, Bradbury and Merritt took us back to 15th. Okay, what are we looking at here with regards to the comments there, Adam Lavis? Can we just have a look there, please? Thank you. Here for P36. Copy that. Oh, okay. Project 36. I was going to say P36. There's not 36 cars on the grid. Those DPR liveries are something special. Yes, I'll agree with that. The DPR boys have come on leaps and bounds in the last couple of terms, haven't they? You should see this place at the moment. I've got two phones working as light for me right now, sitting above where the normal room light is, sitting on top of that with the torch on and everything else turned off. So if you're trying to get me via phone, tonight's not the night to be able to do that. Oh dear. Now, we're ready to rock and roll with race number 2. This will be the invert top 10 feature. 15 minutes of the journey here. Can Marcus Watson continue his winning ways and work his way through from 10th on the grid? You'll have his work cut out for him, Adam, because this is one of those tracks where it can be very difficult to find clear air.
It can be, but the beauty of this track is it is a really good slipstream track, and these cars have a bit of a toe, so it is easy to stay nice and close, get some bails, and as long as you can get yourself in position, you can either put someone in front of you under pressure or get a good run up that hill in the back straight.
Hope everyone else enjoyed their Australia Day long weekend. I couldn't believe it. I went back to double check it and verify it. This is the first time. We've had racing on Australia Day before, 2 or 3 occasions actually, but this is the first time that the GSRC has done a live broadcast of racing on Australia Day. Unfortunately for me, I live in a part of the world that hasn't yet caught up to civilization. Such is the lack of infrastructure here that they can't, the power grids can't handle a 40-degree day, especially when it's a public holiday and everyone's at home rather than at work and school, etc. So, what was a nice and sort of comfortable afternoon with the fan and the ventilation working through the office has fast become a humid, steamy, muggy sort of mongrel of an evening. Throw in the fact, to add insult to injury, that we're also still running on that 112 year and 1 hour delay, and I'm aces at the moment. Luke Brooker and Scott Hasler, the front row here. Geez, Hasler will be hoping for a far better run than what he had in race 1. He just went thoroughly backwards at a rapid rate of knots. Liam Banks, Sam Chapman, second row. Ryan Jones, Aaron Cooper, third row. Dan Yeaman and Connor Nixon, fourth row. Brendan Grosh and Marcus Watson from 5. From row 6, I'm going to need you to jump over there. Thank you, Adam. James Glasspool, Pete Matson, Eduardo Zamora, Brett Bradbury, Ben John Merritt and Siobhan McKernan, JD Dent and Hilton Booth, Edward Rollo and Chris Henn make up the top 20 on this grid, and we are set to fire. A little bit of an earlier start in the feature than usual. Let's go to work. Racing down towards the first corner. Wowee, 4 wide already. That doesn't work. They got away with it, but only because the car on the outside yielded. Uh-oh, trouble. The usual garbage that you associate with lap 1 in Canada, and Connor Nixon's in the grass. 3 wide at the front. This is Seth Chapman. Scott Hasler and Luke Brooker for company. Chapman looking to go around the outside of Hasler. Up the inside will do. Chapman's going to lead us in Canada. Hasler's going to try and stick there. Put his nose back in front for the run down the back straight, and he manages to do so. Down the back straight for the first time. Look at the zigging and zagging already underway. The weaving. Trying to break the toe. Brooker's trying to push Hasler along. Chapman's around the outside for the inside for the penultimate corner. That works. Chapman's gone to the lead. Hasler and Brooker are now side by side. Hasler hangs Brooker out to dry. Down his inside comes Ryan Jones. Jones is looking to go for third. Second even if you don't mind. Jones goes to second. And now out in pursuit of Chapman. Where's Watson in all this? He's down in 7th. Alan Cooper's off the road. Big off-track excursion for Alan Cooper through the grass. And he plummets outside the top 10. This is madness. Chapman, Jones, Hasler, Yeaman and Watson the top 5. Watson's already back to 5th. Under pressure now from Glasspool. 2 minutes gone. Copy that, Project 36, thank you. Down the back straight we go. That's Watson. On an absolute charge here at the moment. Trying to find clear air, trying to find his way by, but at the same time trying to fend off the would-be attack of the next three in line. They happen to be Glasspool, Grosh and Merritt. Good to see Hot Lap back on the grid. One car took to the grass there. Yeaman through to third. Gets by Hasler. Hasler back down the inside for two. Yeaman's wide. Keep an eye on that. Got away with it. This is a 15-minute feature, folks. It promises to be tantalising, fascinating viewing. But the top two have already broken clear, and that's the problem. Down the back straight we go. Watson's got himself up in a fourth. Next target is Dan Yeaman. But the gap is half a second in Yeaman's favour. They're only 1.4 away from the top two, Chapman and Jones. That will be the target. They'll want to get there first. Look at Glasspool around the outside of Watson. James Glasspool going to fourth, is he? On the inside, yes! Got him! Coming off the championship points leader, and did so beautifully. Down the main straight again. Watson's got his work cut out for him in this feature, because the top three are edging ever so gradually clear. He needs to think tactically and trying to get by Glasspool. And he also needs to think bigger picture championship, Adam Lavis.
Indeed he does, but I think Marcus is more a race-by-race type person, so he'll be definitely looking to try and move forward as best he can. He's not one to hang about.
No, that run onto the back straight is going to be very key for him. Let's go. Uh-oh. It goes from bad to worse for Aaron Cooper. Down the back straight again. Watson in fourth. To the outside of Glasspool. Can he hold it this time round? This time through? Yeah, why not? Much better. Another lap in the books. Gosh, they're in seventh now. Behind Hasler. So again, Hasler hasn't had the pace to stay at the front. Disruptive Loves replay for you. Waste option Super Formula Light. That was Liam Banks cutting the grass. Jones has gone to the front, Chapman's gone to second, Yeaman's closed in third. This is Pebble Wakefield at turn one. Lap one. Just bowled it deep, all on his own. Bang. See you later. That's a broken race car. It's back out there a lap down. It's 2 laps down, in fact. That was James Collins meeting a similar fate at the next corner. Geez, you don't have a small off at this circuit, do you? Really? Oh, teammates. Oh no. That proves the point. Oh, lucky for Hilly. How lucky can you be? Right on pit lane, in he goes. Grabs the fastest there and back out again. Surely he would have got a stop and hold for that unsafe entry to pit lane. Surely. Now I'm not sure that he did. Oh no, yes he did. Yep, he absolutely did. Unlucky. Minute 10.92, and at that point he said, you know what, I'm done. Park up, retire. Ryan Jones leads from Sam Chapman, and Dan Yeaman's got the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 9.525. John Merritt there in 8th place. Down the back straight we go. Keep your fingers crossed for a bloody miracle, ladies and gentlemen, if the power comes back on in the next half an hour or so. Up here in Queensland. John Merritt to the outside, to 70 goes down the back straight. holding it flat off the back straight and through into the left-hander that takes us back onto the main straight. It's a very fast lap here in Canada. Lockhart Brownlee with a black flag. So to Rollo. Bondi's had an off-track excursion with a mechanical black flag. That's not good news for him. So Bondi's in a bit of strife, I think. Through we go once more. Speak of the devil. He's about to join us in the booth. We haven't seen the replay yet, Bondi, so you might talk us through it when we do. Ryan Jones has got to slow down. Ryan Jones has got to slow down. Hang on, what's happened here? Jones has dropped down to the 6th spot. Here goes John Merritt on the outside to make it 7. So something's happened at the front for Ryan Jones whilst we've been following or riding along with John Merritt. What the hell? Jones has gone from the lead to 7. And a slowdown has added insult to injury. He goes back to 8th now. Oh, trouble. Trouble. There's lockups unfolding all over the place. This is what happened to Jonesy. All on his own. The rear end goes. Wow. Oh, the rejoin not crash on either. So we lost 3 spots there, and Merritt got him on the run down the back straight. This is what happened to Brendan Grosh. So this was whilst he was battling for the lead there. Bang and gone. See you later. I'm not sure who he had stay behind with him. Chapo, was it? Yeah, I know. Oh, no. So then there was 2 at the front, 5 in that next battle pack. So Yeaman and Watson are on their own. Glasspool, Hasler, Merritt, Jones, then Brooker, then Bradley, then Nixon, then Hen, the top 10. Merritt's on 4th. Hasler and Jones right there with him. Hasler try and get down the inside. No. I'll get to you shortly, Bondi. Just hold your breath here, mate. There's about 5.5 minutes to go and it's going to be frantic. We're on 2 different watches here at the moment. Insert the Jaws thing there, I agree. We're on 2 different watches here at the moment. One, the stopwatch. We've got 5.5 minutes to go on the race. And my laptop's only got about 42 minutes left with the battery saver on. So we're in all sorts of strife here at the moment on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Yeaman and Watson are clear. Yeaman with a 1 second advantage over Marcus Watson, who hasn't been able to reel in that deficit just yet. And he has seen off the threat of Glasspool. He's put a second on Merritt. He was under threat here from Hasler, who bowled it wide, and Jones went through. So Hasler, Brooker and Bradbury's trying to stay in contact with Jones, and Nixon trying to latch on. And they're all trying to grab John Merritt. Can they catch him? We'll wait and see. You don't normally like to give John Merritt any sort of clear air, especially in an open wheeler. That's what he's got at the moment. The next target for him is James Glasspool. Hasler in 6th spot, under threat here from Brooker on the inside. And Brooker can't get it done just yet. Hasler on the right side of the racetrack to consolidate and hold on to 6th for the moment. 4 minutes to go. Where's your money placed, ladies and gentlemen? Where are your bets hedged? With Yeaman or Watson? Yeaman to upset the apple cart, really, and bring Marcus Watson's winning run undone. We've got through our Daytona fatigue. Now we're into our 2nd full week of competition for the season. Porsche racing later in the week, GT4 later in the week as well, with the supercars, the Oz Legends, GTE, all still to come in a big week at the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club to get us to the end of January. And to those of you living in the nation's capital, if you're heading that way this weekend, to the Mark Webber circuit near Queanbeyan, the Canberra Kart Racing Club, I look forward to seeing you there. flying down Friday afternoon, which means I won't be in the booth this Friday night here on the platform for GSRC. Liam Banks looks like he's made himself right at home there on a Friday night. Good luck to him. I hope he enjoys the ride. Scott Hasler in 6th position at the moment. Doing a nice job. Contained the floodgates, seen off the threat of Nixon and Brooker and Bradbury and Hen as well. Now, here's Banks. Banksy up the outside of Baldwin. Banks to 19th, yes. Battles unfolding all through this field. And Banksy's got himself into 19th. At the expense of Baldwin. And just to add insult to injury, now we've got rumblings of thunder overhead as well. So if we weren't going to have a heat wave cause a blackout, maybe a thunderstorm as well. Could be a long old night here in the sleepy state of Queensland. Down the main straight we go. Riding on board with Ryan Jones in 4th at the moment, under ominous threat here from John Merritt. They're chasing Glasspool. Glasspool still holding on to 3rd. That is a phenomenal drive. What's also impressive is that Dan Yeaman's managed to fend off Marcus Watson. There's been no real gain there for Marcus since he's been in clear air. In fact, if anything, Yeaman's extended the advantage. It's out to 1.2 seconds. Well and truly beyond that slipstream threshold for Marcus Watson. Great for Dan Yeaman. Incredible effort from Marcus to keep a clean set of heels and keep a straight race car and work his way through the tank on the grid. There goes Jones to the inside of Glasspool, job done. Jones to 3rd. The podium run continues for Jonesy. Have a look at this. It was very good last week. White flag in the air. 13 is the bingo number for you tonight. In Super Formula Lights feature here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Merritt, 5th. Can he get 4th on the back straight? Can he get by Glasspool? Watson has closed to within 0.8 of Dan Yeaman. But I don't think that's going to be enough to pose a threat down the back straight. Yeaman just needs to keep it straight and clean and tidy. And victory will be his. Round honours will still go to Watson with the 1st and the 2nd. Yeaman with a 3rd and a 1st. Not a bad run. Down the back straight for the final time. Merritt up the outside. Merritt to get by Glasspool. Can Hasler push him along as well? We'll wait and see. Down the outside goes Merritt. He's got his nose in front on Glasspool now. End of the back straight. 3 wide. Hold your breath. Hasler's there. Glasspool's there. Merritt's got by a pair of them. Watson goes to 2nd. Misses out by half a second on Dan Yeaman, who gets his first win of the season in Waste Options Super Formula Light. Late charge to no avail for the championship leader. Jonesy in for 3rd, photo finish for 12th. McKernan and Cooper, McKernan and Zamora, I should say. McKernan got it by 100th of a second. Watch this, the over and under. Oh, beautiful. Photo finish on the line. It was the only one of the night. Bang. That's how much 100th of a second looked like, ladies and gentlemen. Oh boy. Merritt in for 4th. Hasler, Glasspool. So Hasler did get by Glasspool in the end. Then you go back to Nixon, Bradbury, Brooker and Hen. Cooper, McKernan, Zamora, Rollo and Hudson made up the top 15. You'll have to forgive me, folks. I'm using just the timing screen that's going out for you at home there at the moment on the left-hand side of the screen because for some reason, even though STK is a live and active running program, the tablet doesn't recognise it as such, so it kept shutting down on me and going to sleep every 60 seconds. I soon got sick of refreshing the screen, unlocking the tablet, it's fair to say. Well, what about that? Marcus Watson and Dan Yeaman victorious on Australia Day in Canada. That's how it finished. 0.74 of a second, the winning margin. rounded up to 0.75, in fact, 3/4 of a second. So Watson chipped away, but he ran out of time. Ran out of laps. Jones in for third. Good fight back from him. John Merritt, the old experienced hand, very nicely done. Watson's about to join us in here, but firstly we'll go to Craig Bond. We'll hear from Bondy in just a moment. What about that? In the end, 19 cars finished on the lead lap. Liam Banks the last of those, behind Sam Chapman and JD Dent and David Baz. Pete Matson was a lap down. We'll have a look over the page for you. And who else was out of business there? Dale Sharp, John Baldwin, Dylan Rollo, Hamish Clellan, Kevin Wakefield, all 1, 2, 3 laps down even. Brendan Grosh, Craig Bond. It's a fairly sorry tale of affairs the further down the order you go. Hilton Booth, Mark Hilly out pretty early in the piece. Lockhart Brownlee only lasted about 5 laps as well. And that's all she wrote in Super Formula Light with thanks to Waste Options. Great to have you along, ladies and gentlemen. Zach Capen here only for a few more minutes as the laptop is fast running out of battery. Unfortunately for me. Let's go and have a quick chat to these boys in the post-race show. We'll get to our Race 2 winner in just a moment, Dan Yeaman. But firstly to Craig Bond. What the hell happened, please, Bondy? Boy from Gundagai?
I'm going to be in the mood for another 5 hours, aren't I? At this point.
That doesn't answer my question.
That's all I can say with it. I'm saying something I don't want to say.
Okay, well, feel free to swear at me in a message on Instagram. Are you lining up for GT3 at least?
Yeah, gonna give that a crack. Probably
well, I hope it's a better run for you at Portimão. Yeah, I hope it's a better run for you at Portimão.
Yeah, well, hopefully.
Yes. You had good pace early though. Unfortunately, you just weren't able to convert it, mate.
Yeah, well, it was good. I went from 20th, I think, and then got up to just about top 10, and then I got taken out in race 2. So I had a great fight back there, and I think I was on for a top 10, and yeah, then that went south, and then race 1 was good, and then I just get taken out of the race on the last lap, and it's like, not needed, but it is what it is. Hopefully, yeah, it's better into whatever we're going to, GT3s.
Yes, GT3, GT4 Thursday night, GTE Friday night. There's a lot of GTs doing the rounds this season on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Bad luck, mate. When do you go back to school, please?
Too soon. I think it's like the 2nd or something.
Okay, so not soon enough. Not soon enough. All right, well, go, enjoy. Good luck in GT3. I probably won't be here to have a chat at the end, unfortunately, due to a power outage at my end, but we'll catch up later in the week.
Righto.
From Craig Bond to Marcus Watson and Dan Yeaman. Geez, didn't you two rock and roll tonight? Marcus, if only it was a couple of laps longer that second race, you might have been able to get to Dan.
Yeah, I think the whole second race, and especially towards the end of it, was just minimising the mistakes. Both of us were making a lot of mistakes there at the end, and I think if I just didn't make a mistake at some points, I could have got into that draft reach. But nonetheless, really happy with a first and a second tonight.
As you would be, and it continues that podium run for you, and it continues that momentum you really launched and started with last week. That was a solid build, or foundation to build upon, I should say, at Road America, mate. So a first there, a first and a second here. Consistency wins championships. We know that there was a cautious approach probably required to the early stages of that race with everybody bunched up, but you saw your way through the early threats and the traffic, withstood that pressure, and then, you know, went out and consolidated another result. Probably the best you could hope for, given that it is a sprint round and we know how fraught with danger they can be.
Yeah, it was very fortunate to stay out of the danger there in the second race. A lot of people were just sparing off everywhere. I think it helped me quite a lot that I think more people took themselves out than I passed. So it was a bit easier than I expected there in the second race, but definitely had to keep my eyes open for the crashes or whatever was going on in front of me there.
And as you know, you never have a small crash on this circuit, do you?
No, never. Never have a small crash on this car.
No, that's exactly right. Hey, GT3 next at the Algarve, are you in there?
I will not be. I do not like that track. That track's probably the worst on iRacing.
Fair enough. Hey, if Adam Lavis doesn't mind, we might have a look at the calendar and what's ahead as far as Super Formula Light is concerned, please. Next week, 30-minute race, Okayama International Circuit, full configuration. A bit more of I guess, a technical circuit and probably a slower average speed circuit than what we were on tonight, mate, but it should be a good round nonetheless.
Yeah, Okayama's always a good track. I've done quite a few laps there in a lot of different cars in the past 6 to 12 months, so I think I will be fast there, and I will be looking forward to that. The calendar is quite stacked with good tracks besides round 6 and 7, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to the rest of the season.
So we're not going to see in week 7 by the looks of that, and week 6 is a maybe.
Week 6 is a most likely no. Week 7 is a maybe.
Right, alright, okay. For those of you playing along at home, if you like what you saw tonight, sprint racing returns round 4, round 5, round 8, round 9 on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club and Super Formula Light. Okayama will be good, obviously Donington and Laguna Seca to follow that as well, made a good way to get us to halfway. What else is on the Marcus Watson racing radar this week, please?
I'll be looking forward to doing some more Porsche Cup later in the week, and some Super Formula Lights and some other series, but yeah, that'll be it for me.
Alright, mate, very nicely done. As I say, we'll keep it short tonight only because I'm tight on power here at my end, so I don't want to be cut off midstream. Hope you have a great rest of your week, mate. Well done again tonight. Keeping the championship aspirations very much alive and well, but it'll be interesting to see what sort of fight Yeaman, among others, can muster up over the next few weeks. Thanks for that.
Thank you very much. Just wanted to say a big thanks to my new team that I've partnered with, Project 36. Thanks, guys.
I did see that they were fairly prominent in the comment thread there earlier, so that might have just answered a couple of questions we had regarding that. Marcus has already departed exit stage left, but yeah, Project 36, so that might mean that next week we no longer see the word privateer next to Marcus's name. That's exciting times. Dan Yeaman and Connor Nixon are here. It'll be interesting to get Connor's take on all of that, but let me start with the race 2 winner, Dan Yeaman. At what point did you realise that you were not going to be under any sort of threat from Marcus?
Realistically, as Marcus was saying, any little issues and muck-ups there towards the end would have changed the balance. And I had enough moments at Moss Corner just where I was in too deep, lose the rear fractionally, and that was that. So realistically, I couldn't say I was clear until I took the checkered flag tonight. I was surprised I was able to hold him at a second back for the most part, and certainly quite happy with that personally. But yeah, I couldn't say that was done until it was actually done.
No, that's exactly right, mate. But nonetheless, a second is as good as a mile around here in terms of an advantage is concerned. The fact that you're able to break clear of the chasing pack, you were able to get yourself to the front, and you were able to build a buffer and maintain it. That really worked well to your advantage in the end. And as I said, probably a good thing for you that the race was only 15 minutes long, because Marcus was ever so gradually closing in.
Yeah, those last couple of laps, I was checking my per lap delta and saw the half tenth when I was on even a decent lap versus what he was putting out there. So yeah, that probably would have come down to something more putting closer if it had gone longer to say 20 minutes or so. So in many respects, it sort of timed out well, and I made the difference at the start there just when it mattered.
And I was going to say also, you really had to work hard for the race 1 result as well, but a double podium for you as well tonight.
P4 race 1, unfortunately.
Sorry, P4, my apologies, yes.
Yeah, we're on track for P3 at one point there in the sprint, but then a little bit of argy-bargy whilst we were racing out there at the front, the point end of the field tonight, and had to let that one up to Connor Nixon. give him some space to settle in, and didn't really contest that spot at the end of the race. After I then made another mistake at Moss and lost the toe that he was giving me at that point in time.
How beneficial can it be in situations like that to have a teammate to work with?
Oh, huge. I mean, in some respects, it's a case of looking after each other very much so, but it also, yeah, you can sort of try and work together without being disruptive and obstructive, I think is one of the things to say about it. Like, carefully balancing, like, your own race, your teammate's race, and not, say, blocking for the sake of blocking. Protect your position, sure, but you don't throw Hail Marys in least a good racing situation when you're trying to work with somebody in the same colours.
No, that's exactly right. Unfortunately, a couple of your teammates did get caught up down deeper in the field, but that is one of the pitfalls of being stuck in traffic, particularly the early stages of any given race here. Not just in this category, but this car and this circuit, more to the point. Must be nice to notch up a win in SFL, then in the Monday night entree slot, because this has been a little bit of a trip-up point for you in the past.
Yeah, look, these kinds of cars, tight racing, it demands exacting margins, and you have to be not just fast, but also ridiculously consistent to really make your mark when you get the right fields. And yeah, just been missing that a couple of times in the past, as well as just then, you know, every now and again you can genuinely say it's a situation that you had nothing much to do with or much you could do to avoid. But yeah, the main thing tonight also was we stuck quality together, and that put us towards the front of the field and allowed us to work with the cars that we were on pace with, rather than having to try and pick our way through drivers that we thought we were faster than to start the night out.
I didn't get a chance to touch base with you last week, but obviously now that you're in the booth, it's an opportune moment for me to ask you what the off-season looked like for you, how much you enjoyed the break, and what you're most looking forward to about the SFL season, mate.
I mean, yeah, it's been good to obviously just decompress from everything that happened last year. A week away with family on the Victorian coast as well. Now a week ago, it's already been. So it was a nice chance, yeah, to sort of breathe and reset and start looking at what racing options we can get. Work is still the same as it was in that second half of last year, so just happens to be that so far days off and when shifts end have meant that the SFL timings are working for me, and it's a type of car that I used to race previously in another league, although that was back with the old Algarve 3. So I mean, it's not entirely the same. It's a faster car for sure. But yeah, just getting a chance to stay sharp, hopefully do as many of these races this season, and see where that leads us. Unfortunately, it's just going to have to be on a week-by-week basis as to whether I make it or not.
Indeed. All right, mate. Very nicely done. Hopefully we'll see you on the grid next week for the third round of the campaign, Okayama. Your thoughts on that circuit?
Yeah, as Marcus said, that should be a good combination. In fact, we're taking the car back to its homeland in Japan as well. So yeah, got a bit more cornering and braking to worry about than here. This is sort of kind of once you got the car warmed up, the fact that it was flat through 1, flat through 2, you could carry a lot of speed into 8 as well, for example. So we'll get a bit more of that technicality. That'll hopefully mix things up a little bit as well, and yeah, back to that 30-minute format as well, if I'm not mistaken. So get a bit of race strategy in mind. Although having taken some lessons from Road America last week, the main strategy needs just to be go flat out all the time.
Yes, that's the only way you're going to peg Marcus back, I think. Nice for you to get one up on the champion. He is, or the champion leader, I should say. He is human after all. GT3, you jumping in there tonight or not?
Thinking about it, but at the same time, it sounds like maybe Adam could do with a hand here. So Adam, you can shoot me a message if you want me for GT3 once I go grab some dinner after this. So yeah, we'll. At the same time, also, I'm not sure if I necessarily gel with Algarve as well. Not necessarily dislike it super negative, but not necessarily being one of my my top picks in the past, for what it's worth.
If you're free, I'm sure it'll be able, at least until the possible power return, because I think Zach's on like a 10-minute countdown kind of timer now.
Yeah, my laptop battery's within 20 minutes of going cacti, boys. So if you're able to jump in Yeaman. That'd be a driver change I'm willing to make tonight, and that'd be greatly appreciated. But on the subject of commentary, how did the vocal cords hold up after the Legends, please? I hear they gave you a little bit of work.
They did. It was thankfully holding up pretty good for my first show back after the Christmas and New Year break off. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what the guys can bring to the table this Wednesday night, as I will be back in full swing for that one as well. Like to see who I'll be teaming up with. But yeah, it was a strong opening for the series. 3 wide, 4 wide, 5 wide, almost at points, and try and deliver some of the energy once again with the commentary.
Love it. All right, mate, I'll let you go. Thank you very much for deputising short notice at my end. We'll catch up later in the week. Well done again.
Thank you, Zach, and just a quick final shout out to Connor, Lockhart, Mark, who are racing tonight for me at All Drop Air, and our guys at All Drop Air, the rest of the squad as well, for doing what they're doing here and elsewhere at the moment. And then just quickly to Revolution Race Gear iLiveries as our leading partners on the team car here, looking lovely as always. And then in COSI, Hybrid Racing Simulations, Revolution, Demon Tweaks, Hybrid Tune, and the Fight Colorectal Cancer campaign as well, also all on the car, as they have been since this lovely paint job rolled out.
All right, very nicely done. By the way, apologies too. I just got that message from you, Adam Lavis, so I'll have a look at that as soon as we get off air. Dan, well done, mate. Thank you for that. Go and enjoy the rest of the night. Enjoy the GT3 race.
Well, enjoy it from the spectator cameras, instead of the sense of it. But yes, indeed. Thank you, Zach.
All right, very nicely done. And to quickly finish off my cameo appearance this evening, because the battery is about to go on me, we'll quickly go and have a chat to Dan Yeaman's teammate, Connor Nixon. Connor, well done, mate. Very nicely done. Nice performance from you. What did you make of the 2 races there at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park? A bit rip, tear, rush past. Not a bad thing.
Yeah, no, it was good fun. It's good to be back in gents. It's been a minute, so yeah, we did Mountain Men on the Saturday, and yeah, I've been spotting Mark for 4 seasons for FDL, so it was kind of like one of those moments, well, let's go and drive the car so we can get some experience and really give him some extra pointers or something that, you know, will just help in the long run. So yeah, did tonight, and yeah, definitely coming back next week. It's really good fun.
Indeed. I guess the other thing I need to point out here is that I've never heard 7 weeks described as a minute before, but that's okay. Well done to you, Connor. only you could make 7 weeks into a minute.
Pretty much.
But on that subject, actually, at least tonight went a little bit better than your IndyCar cameo over the weekend.
The W12, yeah. Oh, did I tell you?
No. The one that I saw on your story, the oval race where you were crashed up.
Oh, yeah, no, that wasn't fun. Yeah, no, it's been a pretty bad week for myself. So yeah, it's been nice to finally get a good week or a good start to the week. Yeah, last week was just a lot of crashing and a lot of incidents, and yeah, just really not a good week. But yeah, got all the assessments out of the way for uni, so the stress is off my shoulders, and yeah, I can actually drive now properly. So yeah, it's good.
All right, very nicely done. Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, always a good circuit for good racing, particularly in the SFLs. What's the secret here, Connor? What have you got to work on to try and, you know, reel in the likes of your teammate Marcus?
Yeah, look, I think the pace is kind of there. It's not fully there. I think Canadian is just kind of not my track, just quietly. I've never been quick here, so hopefully for Okayama, I think I just need to learn to get on the throttle a little bit more and just push the car more on the front tires, because I just didn't expect the ultimate grip this car has. It's literally go-kart.
All right, very nicely done. I think I've got 1 or 2 more questions in me before the power goes for the balance of the night. Listen, is this going to be a regular thing for you, or is it a fluid situation where you'll just turn up when you can?
Yeah, look, let's make it a consistent thing. Yeah, it'd be good to get back into gents. It's been a minute. I don't even think I've raced in an Australian series.
We've already established this, Connor.
Yeah, an Australian series for a very long time. So yeah, it's 7 weeks though. yeah, 7 weeks goes by for me very quickly these days.
Clearly.
So, if we can make it more of a consistent thing, it'd be good. It'd be very good.
Think of all the things you're going to do in a minute, ladies and gentlemen. There's not many, but apparently Connor Nixon crammed 7 weeks of his life into it. Now, what about the rest of the week, mate? No doubt you've looked at the schedule and the calendar. What does it look like? What's your racing schedule look like this week, please?
I don't think anything from gents. Not a big fan of the Porsche Cup. I think it's just too much of a pogo stick at the moment. Mountain Men's a lot of fun, so I might turn up on the Saturday and give it a whack. But yeah, I think that'll be it for gents, and then IndyCar and LMP2 racing for the rest of the week.
All right, very nicely done. Next week, Okayama. The boys have already given their thoughts. What are yours?
I think it'll be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. That track's always just great for racing, and it's never boring. So I think it'll be a good broadcast to rewatch, and hopefully it'll be good fun to get out there and go racing.
Yep, and just further to Pete Matson's question there in our YouTube thread, if you go to the Gents page, Pete, where we posted the calendar last week, it actually tells you on the right-hand side which splits we are broadcasting in any given week as well. So, looking forward to some Pro M&M racing in the weeks ahead, but we are showcasing the Pro Split tonight. Connor, thank you, mate. Appreciate that, and look forward to catching up as the season goes on.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. Just want to thanks for the new sponsor and pretty much the whole team and iLiveries and Revolution Race Gear, Dash Off-Road for the new sponsor. It's been great. Live stream tonight. Thank you, everyone.
All right, we're 8:30 on the eastern seaboard. Unless you're in the Sunshine State, alleged Sunshine State. We're 5:30 on the West Coast. We're 10:30 in New Zealand. That's what the championship looks like after 2 weeks in Waste Options Super Formula Light. With thanks to, actually it says Sprite and Cider at the top there, but I think it is Waste Options this term. Adam will be able to fix that. Good boy. Thank you. I didn't need the bum steer. I don't want to do the Anchorman thing and just read the auto cue. Marcus Watson with a 27-point advantage already over Dan Yeaman. Ryan Jones only 2 points back. Then Scott Hasler, a good showing from him tonight. Watson winning the round from Yeaman and Jones in that order. First and second, fourth and first, sixth and third. So the boys finished strong with the podium in the second race, just not able to get the job done in the first. Hasler, Grosh, Banks, Cooper, Brooker, McKernan and David Baz, the top 10 in this series at the moment. We're here with thanks to Waste Options, Disruptive Labs, Trophy AI, merch.tgsrci.com and Flash Graphics. Okayama is the next stop, but as we've been detailing throughout the course of the evening, unfortunately my computer battery is about to die, and because the power is not showing any signs of being restored anytime soon here in the Sunshine State, we're doing an unplanned, unexpected, unwanted driver change on a Monday night, but I appreciate Dan Yeaman for going driving in the next round of Waste Options GT3 to cover the play-by-play aspect of it. In my absence, I look forward to being back with you on Thursday night, and then of course we look forward to seeing what comes of normal programming for the rest of the week. We're still trying to dot a couple of I's and cross a couple of T's with regards to what our Wednesday, Thursday and Friday night schedule looks like from a broadcaster and production standpoint for the balance of the season. But at least Adam and I are going to be here, technology permitting, on Monday nights. We're going to take this opportunity to grab a break. Hope you enjoyed your Australia Day long weekend, and of course if you were game enough to sit through the 6.5 hours of caution at the Rolex 24 at Daytona, I hope you enjoyed what racing you did get to see at the World Centre of Racing. The tennis continues on 9. Not that that's any good to me without the power on, but we look forward to continuing week 2 of the platforms of the Gentlemen Sim Racing Club's first and opening term of 2026. And as I say, I look forward to your company again on Thursday night. Driver change, Cabot out, Yeaman in, racing from Portimão on the Algarve International Circuit in Portugal for Waste Options GT3 Pro on the other side of this.
And folks, hello and welcome back, or at least that's if you're joining us, having stuck with us through Waste Options, Wings and Slicks. If you're joining us here specifically for the second half of your Monday night racing action, good evening and welcome here to the Platforms Division Sim Racing Club. I am obviously not Zach Caban. Unfortunately, the joys of a power outage have denied you his commentary coverage for this part of this evening, unless things miraculously turn around whilst we're underway here tonight. But focusing on the circuit, it is the Autodromo de Algarve, otherwise known simply as the Portimão circuit here in Portugal. You saw that just in that southern edge of the Iberian Peninsula. And here the Grand Prix layout, all 4.5 kilometers, just shy of 4.6, mind you, here tonight. Going to be taking us around this circuit here in the Waste Options GT3 Pro split of the GT3 series tonight for the second week of 10. And once again, a regular race format, meaning we'll see the cars out on track for a full hour in the next couple of moments. Qualifying is just wrapping up. We'll go to the grid as soon as we can for that one here. But otherwise, if you haven't heard me around before, my name is Terry Amon, and I'll be with you here tonight to take you through the racing action on the commentating on the coverage here alongside Adam Lavis, taking care of all the cameras and pushing the buttons. And for those who missed last week, here are the drivers who scored points, so actually almost all of them. We end up going down to 26 drivers who got a point out of last week's race at the Daytona Road Course. You can see there Lewis Greathead, your race winner. Reese Wakefield coming home in second place, and Marcus Watson third place with a penalty. Mind you, looks like that. Actually, did that change the race result by any chance? Either way, he ends up third place in the round standings and the series standings after last week. Adam Lavis, I guess he might know a little bit more about that one there. Unfortunately, missed out on the particulars of last week's racing.
I can check it in a second for you.
Cool. I'll leave you to, if you find anything about that, that'd be fantastic. But otherwise, no big rush. The main thing being tonight, we do have a couple of drivers missing and a couple of new drivers joining us here for this week. So it's a bit of a mixed bag in that respect. Notably, having just mentioned there, Lewis Greathead comes away your round winner after the Daytona race last week. He is not here tonight. Meanwhile, Reese Wakefield is, and we just obviously heard earlier with Zach's interviews after Wings and Slicks that Marcus Watson will be passing up tonight's racing action as well. So, bit of a mix when it comes to the field as to who's here, who's not, and early days in the season it may be, but it certainly will offer the chance of things to be shaken up a bit because we are drop rounds not counted just yet in the grand scheme of things.
So just confirm that for you. Confirm that for you. Yeah, so Marcus finished 5 seconds off the lead and a 10 second penalty, but he finished 15 seconds ahead of fourth place, so he managed to maintain the podium spot.
There you go. All right, so did lose a spot from his post-race penalty then?
No, he's maintained.
Maintained? Oh, okay. Apologies. I thought you said he finished second and then I put him here dropping to third. But either way, doesn't drop off the podium from last week's race at Daytona. And with qualifying done, drivers getting onto the grid, we should be able to get the grid for you here in just a moment, and we'll walk you through the 27 times I'm seeing in session, indeed the 27 drivers who are in session. So no drivers who have missed a chance to get a lap on the board after 20 minutes of open qualifying here tonight. And it will be a One Performance Racing front row lock between Dylan Shepherd getting the pole in the number 43 Lamborghini tonight ahead of Reese Wakefield. They're only by 18 1,000ths of a second there in the first of our Porsches here tonight. Is then Porsches on row 2. Andrew Scordillis for OPR once again. He's got Eli Dalton who was outside for Vermilion in the 018. You then have Alex Barallon and Jared Ambrose there for 5th and 6th place. You got yourself first Ford Mustang and first Chevrolet Corvette on that third row here tonight. Luke King going to start from P7 here for this race alongside a Richard Mitchum. Get yourself some more Porsches. In fact, Porsches will round out the top 10 here with Oscar Haynes in P9 and Ryan Jones, most of our DPR drivers, in rounding out that 5th row here tonight. And then the Porsches keep on going with Alan Dawson in P11 for Riot Sim Racing and Jeff Adams, the second of the Whiskey Business drivers there in P12. Nick Wood going to be last in this little group of Porsches, starting out of 13th place. Miles Burgess brings a Mustang for Crisscross. No, pardon me, that's probably actually OPR these days based on those car colours. And yes, I can confirm that indeed on the grid. An OPR Mustang sits in 14th place. Josh Pitt for DPR 159 Mustang. And that position there, not just the race potentials tonight in P16. Jordan Yanazola out of P17 is going to share that 9th row with Matt Schmicke for WBR. Top 20 rented out by Craig Bond and Leo Dreyer there with a couple of Porsches. And that first Aston Martin was with a Pianazola in 17th place 21st of Vinnie Newen, 22nd goes the way of Lachlan Pryke there. As you can see, between Frogleap and Rapid Theft, Rob Hill and Brad Coates on the 12th row, Rodney Gowan, Dane Snadden and Jermaine Takaloo, your final 3 drivers to set qualifying times in this race. Dreyer on back, with the exception of Dane Snadden. It's all Porsches, second Aston Martin, last Aston Martin, going to be in the hands of Snadden for this race start. So, 60 minutes. Fuel restrictions in effect with tank sizing sitting at 45%, and 2 compulsory pit stops required to try and shake things up a little bit here tonight. And in addition, of course, this full lap formation. Going to see drivers really need to burn the fuel down as they will watch the fuel here. Short up this first heat, quite possibly, is what it may end up doing. But based on everything here, Adam, the other big thing is it's pretty close margins up and down the field, especially looking between drivers on the same row. To put in perspective, I was just walking through the field just one by one there, but on row 3 between Alex Barallon and Jared Ambrose, there's 4 1/1000ths of a second in it when it comes to qualifying time here. So watch out for row 3 and the drivers there starting tonight. Main thing there when it comes to car selection here in the GSRC GT3 series is pick and stick, James, and GT3, Porsche GT3, quite capable, quite hard to beat at Daytona this season, and get the thing that may have influenced car selections, perhaps a little more outwardly so.
Indeed it has, but we'll see how that turns out. But yeah, the pro split at GSC, it's very, very tight. I think the margin was under 1.5% at the moment for the cutoff. So basically, these guys are all pretty much close to being only 1% of lap time out from each other at any given time. So that's extremely close in the grand scheme of things, especially when you have a grid almost 30 people. The tenths and hundredths really matter at all times.
Yeah, and it means that, yeah, if you're going to get your way into this field, because of course we do have the Pro-Am and Am splits running simultaneous tonight, they will get airtime next week as part of the broadcast package and plans here at the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club. But around the last couple of corners here at Algarve, it's time to get ready to go racing. Make the final preparations, final checks of the car, and get ready to strap yourselves in. Hands Dylan Shepherd hit this one off here tonight. Week 2 of the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club on a Monday night. The waste option is GT3 Series Pro Split here for season 2026A is go as Shepherd puts the foot down. We are underway from Algarve. And he jumps out very nicely at the front to get this one underway, to watch the field race down towards this first corner. Big dip here on this start finish stretch. We're seeing 3 wide in the mid-pack. Turn number 1, but does sports off out. Gets through, but down towards the back of the field. Brad Coates winning you and are around on the outside of the opening turn. Just going to scupper that little thought I was having of my own as we come up into Lagos, turn 3 at the circuit, and the rest of the pack sorting themselves out now as we speak. Wide here for 3rd place as Donaldson, no, can't make it there. Deep from This will lose the spot to both Donaldson as well as Barallon. Down to P5 now for the OPR Porsche, and a slowdown to boot. Same for Craig Bond there. You can see the yellow squares on the timing tower indicating their current status. They'll have to try and find a way to bleed some speed and get those penalties cleared within the next set of 20-odd seconds. This is Donaldson here, putting the pressure on Barallon. Up over the hill into the Portimão turn here. Up the inside over turns 10 into 11. And he looks like he'll get himself back on the podium here. An aggressive but decisive move on this opening lap. We're hearing a couple of race control reports coming on in here, so it's definitely going to be a busier night tonight as the car's gone around back of the field. Oh dear! Lamborghini sideways has speared off, and it's Matt Schmicke. And he has taken, I think, some collateral with him, unfortunately. Stefan Lawrence, both cars mechanical black flags to their name now, unfortunately. So I'm expecting they will tow their way back to the pits in due course. Back up in front of the field, Andrew Scordillos here, P5, but he's got Jared Ambrose looking to apply some pressure in this opening lap down this front stretch here. And watch for the dip into turn number 1. In behind them, you've got 2 more Porsches here. Oscar Haynes on the outside trying to pressure Ryan Jones, but there won't be anything of it on this occasion into that first turn. But he's in a nice position for turn 3. Jones deep, aggressive, protects the position for now. Side by side behind them, between Luke King and Richard Mitchum. We'll have King staying in front through turn 3, but up and over the crest of 4-2. Get on a clean run out of that corner and down towards turn 5. As Mitchum's looking to the inside. Get a contact with King, but he'll get the spot and he'll run away with that one there. I believe there's also a pass just a little bit behind them as well in the process. It is all action stations here, Adam. Even with an hour race on the clock, looks like it's going to be getting straight into the action from the get-go from everyone out on track.
Indeed, you see the plenty of orange and yellow still on the board, so everyone's still figuring it out. There's one of the ES guys has a bit of a moment in the background there. But yeah, so...
Nick Wood and Miles Burgess have just gotten together in some fashion at Samsung corner turn 8, and that may need some review by race control.
Yeah.
Pick up what's happened there between the two of them precisely.
We'll go back and have a look at that shortly. But yeah, plenty of action here with the faux Porsche Cup with a couple of stragglers in here.
Yeah, from my interpretation of what I'm seeing between Burgess and Wood, Burgess was something to answer for from race control at the end of that one there. Yes, indeed. Porsche Cup now Mondays and Thursdays. Give you a double dose at the GSRC. With occasional interlopers. Just going to try and mix things up as end of the second lap. Lap times coming in 140.9. Shepherd is the only driver to do so at this stage of the race. Reese Wakefield a 41.7, 41.4 for Donaldson. And actually matching exactly the same time as Barallon. A little further on down the order, Burgess tries to pick up a spot and get back going again past Craig Bond, fellow Mustang of the field. And yeah, just one of 4 Mustangs in this season, which is quite the turnaround from what we've seen in seasons past. Mustangs have been a pretty strong pick. Other times as Bond thought about getting up the inside of Burgess to retake the place, but he's ended up compromising his exit off turn 5, go onto the outside in the right side race to Porsche. Going to be stuck up high and dry into turn 7 and not able to cross back over for the apex of turn 8. So back in the single file, they'll go here for 18th place. Carry on as they were before just kicking off. Here, this lovely outboard shot. Run up the hill into Portimão. Bond a little wider on entry, so slightly wider at the apex too. As just further up the order, Ryan Jones has run a little bit wide through turn 13. There's now vulnerable to Richard Mitchum and Luke King as they swing round the final braking zone at Sagres, turn 14, and try and hold the car pinned in here through this final sweeper of Gulp Corner. Let's watch for Mitchum here, and the WnS colours and the number 12 on the car. What kind of speed have we got down the start-finish stretch? Not enough to make a committed move. Stays in line. New fastest lap goes the way of Alex Barallon. 1 minute 40.851 as he currently sits in 4th place behind Donaldson. Jones having to stay on the defensive as there's a big lunge from Josh Fitt behind. Kind of elbows Dawson off apex of turn 3 and says, that's mine. I won't give you any other option. Although he's actually going to move over and voluntarily give that one back. Yes, he has. So perhaps deciding it was a bit much as Dane Sanders around on the exit of turn 4 in the number 3 Whiskey Business Aston Martin. Some more decisions coming in from race control, but we're going to go to first of our destructive laps replays back to lap 1. And Newen, oh dear, Newen unfortunately pinches Brad Coates and didn't quite catch who that 3rd car was. It was in the middle of the sandwich. In the end, Coates ends up off the road with Newen, and as a result, there will be a 15-second post-race penalty for Vinnie Newen as a result. Matt Schmicke, he also on that one. Oh, he lost it by himself. And poor Stefan Lawrence, quite literally the bowling pin to Schmicke's bowling ball. If it was Italian and Lamborghini shaped there. Both cars heavily damaged. And by the looks of things, Stefan Lawrence has returned to the circuit. Schmicke has not. And then with Wood, Miles Burgess, which happened a couple of laps ago. You can see here Burgess going for the move, but ends up in the door of Wood on the corner exit with plenty of space to be had. Takes the spot, and spot's lost So we'll wait to see if anything happens there. The other decision that's come through from Race Control just a moment ago whilst we're on replays, there was an incident between the 018 and the, pardon me, should I read this message here? The 168 on lap 1. No further action for that incident. Back live, watching Luke King here now trying to fend off Alan Dawson. Bit of door banging and rubbing to the point through turn 3 on this 5th lap of the race, and a crisscross manoeuvre here from Dawson. It's a nice run up through turn 4 on the inside. Should be his. Turn 5, he wants to open up his own entry into turn 5, and King's not going to have it. Contact and spin for him to hit the apex. Now Dawson under pressure from Josh Fitt, and King is stuck waiting for a gap. Torture in this situation is Ryan Jones, Richard Mitchum now exchanging a battle here just ahead of what that battle was as they come out of Samsung corner. And Mitchum still trying to find a way through on the DPR driver. No dice just yet though as we come up to Portimão corner once again. There we go, sorry, up and over the crest. I look away for a moment and Mitchum is up the inside. Jones with a wider entry, carrying more speed through the corner, but it does set him up nicely for the counter up the inside here at turn 13. Maybe a touch of leaning on each other. Mitchum has to leave plenty of space, run himself pretty deep into the turn. We'll have the apex though here at Sagres, and that will allow him to hold the spot for now as we'll get the power down and see which of these drivers can commit to flat out through Gulp corner. Bus lap reset once again, this time by Dylan Shepherd to race here. The gap now 1.8 seconds for OPR, also ahead of OPR as Mitchum maintains the spot that he's taken now through turn 1 on this, the start of lap 6. See if things change there. We may also need to check in with Oscar Haynes and Jared Ambrose. They're close together at the moment, although not as close as this, so maybe we'll have to observe and witness what's going on here. Last time around, Haynes, by far the fastest driver, so much so I reckon it might have been an exchange for P6 on that lap. Because they're less than 6/10 apart. The lap time difference was about 7/10 on that last lap. And here we go. Oscar Haynes at turn 13 on lap 5. Nice clean move, and Ambrose actually going to want no party in that and play the long here tonight, so gives him car width or 3 through that nice wide 13th turn. As we'll go back live, back to Mitchum and Jones. Josh Fitt now starting to potentially range up in the background, bringing Alan Dawson, Jeff Adams, Lachlan Pryke, possibly even Leo Dreyer, and Jordan Pianazzola. Apologies to you, Jordan. Might take me a couple of moments to get my mouth around that one there and make sure I'm making it out in a clean sentence tonight. So starting to sort of, group up here, hovering in and around that half-second margin. Adam, you bring us back towards P20 and 21 here. Jermaine Takaloo and Nick Wood going at it for this position. You've also got Eddie Newen there as well to make the frog leap sandwich. A bit of entropy filling here at this point in time.
Indeed, up and down the field, still some plenty of battles, and as we said, the gap's so close. It's very common that you almost always got someone to race with, as long as you don't make a mistake and fall off the pack. There's always going to be someone at a similar pace. As we see one of the Mustangs around there.
Making mistakes. Oh dear. Oh, Miles Burgess. Yep. Second time an issue for him. This time it's all by himself.
Sausage
the Mustang in. Oh dear me. Well, one thing you don't want to touch at Portimão is a yellow anti-cut sausage curb, and that is decidedly taking that car up and off the ground, and around it goes as Nick Wood to the inside of Takaloo for 19th place now as they come out of turn 5 on this 7th lap of the race. Next decision coming through will be for Matt Schmicke. Would be a 10-second post-race penalty, but he's already retired the car and chosen not to take any further part in tonight's racing action. So that one may confer some safety license points on him as well. Probably will, if he knows specified in the message. That will be the main takeaway for him in this race here tonight as team watches battle here. We also may now want to check in on Barellin and Sordillis for 4th and 5th. It's getting a little close between those two drivers as we come onto the start-finish stretch. Let's have a look here at the gap. Watch for it if you can. Holds practically dead steady between Burrell and Scorgillis. And Mustang picking up a bit of draft off of Donaldson. Scorgillis, pretty similar pace. He throws it in deep. Probably an off track for his troubles there. On the exit of turn 1, going past the red and white curbing onto the red. Pull that not just run off, you have to pull the grey run off.
Yes.
That's right.
It's like astroturf, just concrete, painted concrete.
Yeah, painted concrete. That's the word I was thinking. It's not curb either. It's just flat. So yeah, try out
The painted runoff.
Yeah, that'll fit the description and suit us our purposes very nicely indeed. Already up to Samson Point. You see here that from this angle, looks like Bills is just able to get the car a little better onto the apex of a couple of these turns and Rallum. But the end result ends up being slower exit speeds off the corners because the gap is holding fairly steady for now. And it's not there for Quantum. You can see there, Rallum and the Lewis is able to pull them out, mix them up. Into turn 13 also similar, but just the variations between the cars here as we see perhaps a little bit of that handling characteristic coming out there through the slower speed Sagra's corner. Northwind versus OPR here for 4th place, coming up on 1/4 distance by the clock, 1/4 time more than anything actually, because the distance is entirely time independent here tonight. Next update from race control, going to be a 10-second post-race penalty to the 693 of Miles Burgess for his incident with Nick Wood back on lap number 2. So fairly slam dunk decision making there by the looks of things. Let's continue to watch here some of the slower stuff at the circuit. Lagos corner ends up with Barallan just really trying to set the corner up as we go back to Rodney Gowan in between Craig Bond and aforementioned Nick Wood, recipient or the other driver in that penalty notice, as down into turn 3. Bit of a nose from Gowan, but it doesn't eventuate just yet. Will it eventuate here on the exit of turn 4? The run to turn 5? Not quite yet. Bond also defensive. Going to have to go either the long way around or commit late and go. Not commit late. Commits to the inside line where Bond eventually defends, and Nick Wood will swing around the outside, try and plant the gas. And indeed, we'll take that 17th place away from him there in the process. So, a bit of an exchange, as it were. So they come up, crest the hill once more here, just in the exit of turn 8. And Wood, I think, is just at a moment with the traction in his entropy Porsche. And indeed, Golan will swing up the inside there, take back 17th, like the pass originally never happened. As we get up here, intricacies of double apex at Portimão once again, and a very wide entry from Wood in that particular circumstance. Doesn't quite materialise in anything beneficial on this occasion just yet. Gowan now also seeking another run perhaps at Bond, gets him off the apex out of Sagra's corner. We'll watch for the run here down the start from this stretch as the Porsche got the ponies. Well, that's something exclusively in the hands of the Mustang, and by the look of that there, Adam might be saying speed differential tonight between Craig Bond and his Mustang versus Gowan and his Porsche.
It looked like Bond was a bit more brave with the throw-in into the over the crest. He took a bit more speed, Gowan a bit more conservative to keep the title line, and Craig got away with that time. But as his tyres do start to degrade, that line may start to come back and bite him.
Meanwhile, further up the order, if we can go to Pete's head, scrapping going on at the moment. Josh Fitz just goes way past Mitchum at turn 3 on this current lap. Now as we work our way up over the hill, Dawson had a crack at Mitchum, didn't eventuate, and now Jeff Adams having a go at Dawson. Speaking of, 10-second penalty to Dawson, making contact with the 66 of Luke King on lap number 5. Also come through, and actually following the last penalty message from Miles Burgess, he not necessarily related, but has now come to the pit lane and retired from the race. So that is another car whose day is done early on, just within the first quarter hour of racing action tonight from Portimão. So field is starting to whittle away now. 25 cars circulating, 24 cars on the lead lap as well, and we'll have to see how that develops as this race goes on. Shepard continues to really apply a torch to the rest of the field here. 1 minute 40.5 for him on this current lap, and starting to keep growing the gap. It's up to 3.3 seconds now at the start of lap number 11 for him. And is perhaps here, Adam, a sign of a combination of setup, practice, driver skill, and where the BOP currently sits at. All in all, Lamborghini currently pretty comfortable. It's Porsche. Scuderos Barella just exchanged places, and they're going to go back again. We can go up to P4 if we can, please, here between the Northwind Mustang and the OPR Porsche that runs second of those team Porsches tonight at this stage in the race, and it will be Barella who holds on for now. There's Jermaine Takaloo, black flag, which looks like it's come on pit entry for him. So after an early attempt to stop, that's kind of gone a little bit sideways at this stage of the race. In fact, he's actually just retired the car as well. So we are down another driver. So only 24, or 5, sorry, will now be circulating in this one.
Yeah, the pit entrance here is one of those entries where it is quite easy to pick up a black flag. Has a bit of a blind crest to where the cones are, so quite easy to overrun the speed there, and unfortunately have the speed gun slap you across the wrist.
This is getting awfully feisty now, which sort of tells me that we are only a couple of laps away from these cars being completely out of fuel. Of course, if you want to make this race work on even stints, you're going to do at least one more lap before you're in the window to stop here tonight and get to the end of lap 12. In which case we'd be on for roughly a 36-lap race as Brad Coates on his own comes over the crest at turn 4 and slow slide. I think that was just a car getting loose underneath him, and he ends up slapping the fence with the left side of his AITX Revolution E-Racing Porsche, and that'll certainly be hurting. It's back live. There you go. Mitchum, Wood, and King all to the pit lane here at the end of lap 11. So perhaps one lap shorter than I would suggest you'd want to look at doing if you're talking even stints. But at the end of the day, whether we see a 13-lap stint, maybe a 14-lap stint from somebody in this field trying to stretch the field a little longer, curious to watch on this here. Get a feel for the pit range of these cars. The other thing being, of course, we really need to see the cars go to at least 12 laps here tonight to be able to do this race on 2 compulsory stops and no bonus splashes and dashes. As well. So watch this battle here for now. 10th place, Dawson ahead of Jeff Adams, Lachlan Pryke. With Leo Dreyer just a little out of shot, not technically. Oh, there you go. Only half a second off of Pryke. Sorry, so no, this is a 4-car battle, just not entirely, completely nose to tail, as your leaders will swing through to go to a 13th lap. So at least going to see them get past the almost perfect 1/3 race distance. There was some tire smoke, but no one's particularly slow. But we're going to apparently hear it's Oscar Haynes. We see something. Oh no, big skid. Oscar Haynes actually does go around 180 the circuit and keeps the gas in it to spin it back the right way. He's immediately ducked to the pit lane as well. So a bunch of time and positions lost for the driver of the 644 Porsche there. And now heading into the important point of the race. Have you been saving fuel? How much further can you go in this one? Or are you just going to have a shorter stop to get the car back up to capacity here tonight? That is going to be some of the questions. We'll have to wait and see when the pit stop data for our leaders starts coming in. So the drivers behind who have gone to about lap 11 or 12 here, we're seeing pit stop times around well, as low as 11.5 apparently, up to 15 odd seconds. And Oscar Haynes 17.5 as well, for example.
And going off memory from last season, I think a full tank is around 19 seconds. So a lot of our short fuel guys so far, no one's had the fill up to the brim yet. So yes, we're getting closer and closer to that important critical lap.
And the big thing there, obviously, it means is that you've got some potential for tyres if you want to take them, but no apparent takers as of yet. Let's watch the map to see any movement. No, Shepard stays out and will carry on to make it 14 laps in this stint. Same for Wakefield, Donaldson. They've closed up together. Barrell and Scordilis roar past the pit lane as well. Ambrose is on a bit of a group of his own. He keeps going. Here's a couple of drivers now who have stopped. Richard Mitchum is the effective leader of them. That's where Oscar Haynes has dropped back to, although there is a bit of pit stop time and fuel taken. Mitchum does owe Haynes as well. So it's currently about 3 seconds by my numbers. So we'll see if that changes the equation in the later part of this race. But that's where they sit. They are currently 1 minute and 5 seconds behind Dylan Shepherd, your race leader, at this point in time. Meanwhile, Wakefield, Donaldson, second and third place here on the road. As close as you'd like. Question is now going to be lap 14. Are we out of fuel on this occasion? Or can you maybe eke a 15th lap out of it? Really drag these cars a little bit further than you might think, and give you some options to shorten up a stint somewhere in this race. That is going to be the question I would put to these drivers here tonight. As up into turn 13, these two drivers will go. And there's Shepherd already a corner ahead. That's Sagra's gap of 4.4 seconds and growing ever further still. As they'll round that corner there, traction limited by the looks of things. And up and over the crest here through Gulp, turn 15. Shepherd to the pit lane in the Lamborghini. But it looks like Wakefield or Johnson, they've got one more in them. So Shepherd will be classified as the race leader, I think, there for another lap. So he gets all 14 laps led to start this one tonight. But now it will be Wakefield and Donaldson who can take their cars further into this race. And in fact, there you go, Scordilis, Ambrose, they're all going to commit to a 15th lap as well. Ryan Jones has gone through too, but then Alan Dawson. So Porsches are going long. I'm starting to think we might be seeing a very slight economy differential here. Because these two drivers don't look like they're saving much, if anything, Adam. But then again, there may have been some sneaky saving that we're not privy to up here in the broadcast booth.
It could also be a case that it was just a very borderline number, like they may have flat out might have been 13.87 laps or something, and these guys have just snuck that extra 0.2 a lap to get over the line. But also we've got a thirsty old Chevy in there, so not all Porsches in the fuel save bandwagon.
Yeah, no, not at all. And there are Porsches there who have stopped here on lap 14, so it's not exactly exclusive. Doesn't really talk to the fact these guys here at the front of the field have worked a bit of magic between pace and saving. Although, in the case of like Wakefield Donaldson, they're 4.5 seconds off of Shepherd when he pitted for 1 lap of fuel, if they have indeed been consciously trying to go the extra lap. Now, they can make 2 laps out of it, therefore, in the race, but is 2 laps less fuel required, which should probably be somewhere in the range of 5 to 6, maybe 7 litres here, as I'll dive into the pit lane both into lap 15. And aggressive, but on the marks, and no trouble for either of them from the automated race control. Scordilis, Ambrose hit the lane as well. Expect Ryan Jones, Alan Dawson, Lachlan Pryke, Rodney Gowan, and Vinnie Newen all to hit the lane here as well to finish off the opening stint and the opening pit cycle of this Waste Options GT3 Pro race here tonight for Gentlemen Sim Racing Club at Portimão. Looks like there's going to be some tyre changes here. And indeed, Wakefield down off the jacks already, so that's 2 tyres changed for him. To stretch, though, I'll get some new boots on the car, which makes sense to the track here like Portimão. You've got a lot of loaded corners. The question is, the loading is somewhat even at points, although left side tyres are definitely, say, have some of the most most loaded corners. As Donaldson is out first. Shorter on fuel was Eli Donaldson to try and get in the slipstream perhaps of your race leader Dylan Shepherd. Wakefield full brim and tyres. Looks like he is going to fall back there, and he's roughly in line with where he was after Shepherd stopped. But the gap now effectively 5 seconds between those two. It's Barrellin, and Squirrel's going to go at it again. And we've got DPR here. Ryan Jones, Josh Fitt, Richard Mitchum with them as well. Trouble for Alan Dawson a little further back in the 062 Wrights racing car. He's just had a slide, taking through the opening couple of corners, down to P16, so not ideal for him. At this stage, straight out of the pits, Oscar Haynes flies by. Nothing to do with Oscar though, because unfortunately for Alan, maybe some colder rubber on that car. Yes, looks like there's definitely been a tyre change for the Right Sim Racing Porsche with the longest stop, barring Ambrose at 21.6 seconds. There's another replay, Rodney going, oh dear, two Riot Porsches going around in the same lap, and Craig Bond just sneaking on by there. Not too close, but not all that far away either from perhaps getting entangled in a mess. That was an accident all along. Back live here as we look just outside the top 10 as Auckland Pride, Jeff Adams bang doors and wheels in their Porsches here as Adams looks for the crisscross into turn 13. Wasn't particularly appreciative of the bump, I think, through 12, and so gives a bumper of his own to take the place away for the time being here. Dreyer and Nick Wood side by side, meanwhile, in the back of the shop, and up the inside, the doors open for Nick Wood as Pryke sliding through the exit of Sagres corner, parks up Dreyer. Nick Wood, 2 places in basically 1 corner. He'll be most happy to get a bit of a freebie out of that one there and see if he can set after the Whiskey Business Porsche ahead of him of Jeff Adams. Just outside this top 10, coming up on half-time in this race. Of course, it's a race. We aren't stopping the clock, nor the racing action for anything here at the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club tonight at Portimão. The main thing being, so lap 28 to lap 30, you'd expect the pit window now for our front-running drivers. The drivers such as Dreyer there, lap 13 stop. Nick Wood, Richard Mitchum, laps 11. Oscar Haynes, lap 12. They'll obviously have to come in sooner, given that they have brimmed their tank earlier in the race, of course, Adam. But that gives you a bit of an idea that maybe we're looking at that sort of a 10 to 11 lap final stint. So going to about 40-odd laps here tonight at the Algarve International Circuit.
Yeah, looking at the graph there, looks like the 15 lap is probably the limit. Maybe 16 without the rolling start. So like a 16 lap might be possible in a second stint because they didn't do a full roll lap. But yeah, it'll be definitely a short splash and dash for the next stop because they will definitely not need a full tank from here to get home. So be interested to see when these guys decide to pull the trigger and whether they go early or go late and try and get that track position.
And it's going to mean for the drivers who took tyres, if they took 2 tyres, then yeah, take another 2 tyres perhaps to finish off the race. Whether it's going to be a fresh set of left sides or if you just do another set of left sides if you took them at that first stop, that'll be questions we might have to ask of the field, at least those who come to interview and speak with us about the racing here tonight. As up over the crest for Nick Wood in behind Jeff Adams. He has closed up pretty nicely, so this battle should begin to brew a proper in the next lap or so. Closest margins on track, actually here between Pryke and Dreyer into turn 1 at this point in time. It's either that or Ryan Jones for a hound, Jared Ambrose in Corvette versus Porsche duel. But stay here with this one for now to see what happens, although I say that and Pryke finds a couple of tenths through turns 3 and 4 and he'll get to just over half second clear. Yeah, slowdown penalty for Craig Bond that's just flashed up on our screen. So I think he's just bowled a wide at turn 1. That would be the most likely candidate for that one there. There's Jared Ambrose here, P6. I said one of the longest stops. I think he went for 4 tyres in that one as a result. And now feeling the pressure of Ryan Jones, Josh Fitt also keeping them honest. Just 8 tenths off of Jones up the inside. Sorry, 8 tenths off of Ambrose. Portimão, nothing coming this particular lap though. Jones at that corner, but it sets up a good run down the hill. Half a nose inside is not enough though to commit to the move, but it's all looking like set up here. Adam playing a little bit of a longer game. Again, showing the nose. Does it upset Ambrose's balance through Sagres? I'd say not really. Both cars aggressive on the power out, but now we've got this long run through Gulp and to turn 1 at Primera. Feeling, let's jump on board with Ambrose. Walsh closing. Yeah, he's going to have a proper run at this one here tonight. We're watching the camera there. We'll jump actually up onto the rooftop of Jones indeed. Alongside Ambrose lifts. He wants no part of this one. Going to maintain a rhythm, maintain a flow. Exchange P6 for maintaining no further positions lost until Josh Fitt season opening at Lagos Corner. Make it 2 DPR cars through in the space of 3 turns. And it ruins the run for Ambrose. Oscar Haynes now wants a piece of the pie. 1 spot lost, becomes 3 in the space of just under half a lap here at Portimão for our lone Corvette amongst the field tonight. Looks like trying to play the smart game hasn't quite worked out on this particular time.
Yeah, it's one of the traits of this track with the fact that it has a lot of corners in the same direction in sequence. If you let someone by at the wrong time, you can quite easily wrong foot yourself and get railroaded, just as we saw Jared there. He's just thought he'd do the right thing there and just ease off and let one by, and unfortunately that's just given the other guys a bit of a sniff, and he's lost an extra 2 spots out of it. But with your tyre chat, the interesting thing from my mind is we all know with these GT3s they can easily do over an hour on a set of tyres from all the endurance races. So tyres total deg isn't a problem, but it just shows that this track is obviously a higher deg track. If these guys are electing to take even 2 tyres, especially given the cold tyre warm-up these cars now have, they're going to be losing some time on the outlap to try and gain it back during the stint.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's also a little something I've discovered this week that with the way the car interacts at pit stops, that actually means that the cold tyre warm-up isn't as punishing as you might think. It's not the fact that you're anything happening to the new tyres. It's actually stuff happening to tyres on the car whilst it stops. So it makes for the fact that there's actually a bit more of a strategic play there. And I think, yeah, a track like this where you're really working your left-hand side tyres through turn 1, 2, and 3, 7, 8, 10, 11, 14, 15. You just count that alone. How many of the corners have I just rattled off there? 9 of the 15 corners of the circuit turn to the right.
And the last corner,
and
basically,
most of those are also pretty loaded corners too.
Yeah, the last corner counts almost as 3 corners, and the other one's the amount of load it goes through.
So yeah, I would say at minimum, taking a left side, fresh to the left side tyres, whether it's at both stops, maybe just 1 stop here, so you're doing just over 40 minutes on a set of tyres. Maybe that's the play. Whether you, because again, short stop coming up here, we expect for most of the field as well. So you're only going to get 2 tyres on the car before you start taking a time penalty with regards to stop times. If you wanted to do 4 tyres, you had to do them at the stop, and you really had to empty the tank out as much as you could, and to be able to not lose any time in the process. As I said, even that, Jared Ambrose lost maybe about a second or so to drivers around him, possibly even as high as 2 seconds. For what looks like he's opted to take 4 tyres. Basically, we'll be able to tell when these cars come into the pit stop for the second and final time in the next 10 or so laps. If they go up on their jacks, that means tyres are being swapped. These cars will stay on their tyres in the pit box if they are taking fuel only.
Yeah, and if you are taking all 4 tyres, as Jared and Alan Dawson appear to have, and also Vinnie Newen, it costs 21-ish and a half seconds to do all 4 tyres. And as I said before, the fuel tank capacity is only 19 seconds, so you're giving up 2 seconds for that fresh rubber, so you got to make it work for you to get that back.
It's clever in many respects, as there's been a bit of elbows out. Pryke and Wood at the hairpin come together, as Wood, I think, was also eyeing off Jeff Adams' position, and so as a result they go up into turn 7 now side by side. There's more contact at the apex of that first part of this sort of double apex complex. Wood holds a spot. Adams has now run away free on his own. Pryke is looking racy in the Rapid Theft Esports 29 as they come up over the hill into Portimão. He appears to have the better pace, but hasn't got the move done yet. Outside of turn 13, surely going to lose this one. Tries to box Wood to the apex of that corner. It won't work with the nature of the turn, although Wood does not defend the apex of Sagres, and he's forced out wide. Respects the attack from Pryke as well. And that will finally take nearly a full lap to exchange the positions that started looking like it's going to swap. As Nick Wood to the pit lane.
Reverse strat, that's the early, It's the early pit.
On a 10-lap stint. So early stint indeed. Good call. One of two Aston Martins racing tonight. Jordan Pianazzola trying to get past Leo Dreyer at turns 1 and 2. It's not done there, but turn 3 will finish that one, will it? Exit of that corner. Sure, he has to swing across to really shut it down. Shut it down, he will. So up into P13 for the leading Aston of 2 in this race tonight. Now Luke King and Alan Dawson trying to give Dreyer the hustle into turn 5. So coming up on 20 minutes to go in this race. 2/3 time completion in this one. As they were swing in the 7 and 8 here. Dawson really trying to open that entry. Looks like he does get a slightly better, tighter apex as well for his efforts. But no real momentum swing or drive relative. Dry in front of him as they head up into Portimão turn. We may need to go back to the battle for P6 if we can, please. Ryan Jones, Josh Fitt going side by side. Stagger's corner. Also got Oscar Haynes and Jared Ambrose for companies. Oh, Dreyer and Dawson just got together right as we cut away. Oh, no. Drama down the order as the battle looks to be on for P6. Both the DPR cars very wide through the exit of Gold corner. Anything for him here as they run down into turn 1. No, everyone backs off a fraction. The status quo will be maintained. But for now, Ambrose there. Right within touching distance. Richard Mitchum is also here. It's a 5-car scrap for the back half of the top 10 as Haynes up the inside of Fitt but gets loose. Loses the momentum up and over turn 4. He won't be able to challenge into the hairpin without a big lunge under brakes. Nothing coming this particular time. We'll go back to Dawson and Dreyer just as I called for the move up to the front battle as Dawson has just run up the back of Dreyer there. That looks a little unusual. There he gives the spot back to Dreyer, but both of them lost losing time and places the drivers like Luke King, Craig Bond and Vinnie Newen in the process. Back live, back to the battle for P6. Centered on Oscar Haynes now at the moment, and also is indeed the center of this group as he's still starting to probe around. Is there anything he can get on the DPR cars? Jones is deep there through turn 13, but seems to be an acceptable trade-off when it comes to speed versus positioning. Now let's jump on board with Oscar Haynes here. Watch for the speed at the end of the start-finish stretch here at Portimão. Listen in to the onboard with Disruptive Labs. A little left through Gold. This is coming to the conclusion of lap 23 in this race. And I have to say there, Adam, he didn't get it pitched in well enough because he's lost about a tenth or so and going to end up down, well, away from the DPR cars into turn 1 this time.
Yeah, but as you see, the Porsche is always good on the brake, so he's made a lot of that back up there in turn 1. Very good line. But yeah, you're looking to get back on the back of this Mustang here and try and get a run out of turn 4 down to the hairpin. As he said, as is here in the front, Ryan Jones, very wide line through 4. Here we go.
This time for Oscar Haynes, doesn't get the spill on out of the corner there, so he has a chance up the inside for turn 5 on Josh Fitt. Fitt committed under brakes, gives Oscar Haynes the car, wins no more at the apex, but slightly better exit for Haynes. Looks like he's going to be able to almost finish this one off through the sweep in turn 6. Allows him to clear before the right-hander at turn 7. Porsche up in front of the Mustang here in this second half of the top 5 battle. And now, has Haynes got something for Ryan Jones? Don't forget, Oscar Haynes having that spin just before the pit stop cycle earlier on in this one meant that he was probably a little out of position as he looks for an attack into Portimão. Nothing coming this time. Tries to settle back in to reset his position. And again, wide sweep through turn 12. Door open at turn 13. Here comes the lunge up the inside of Ryan Jones. And Josh Fitt also possible to get on the action. No other exchange position for now. And Jones will have to concede P6 at this point in time as come around Sagres once again here. Lap 24 of this race. Inside of 18.5 minutes to go now in this second week of racing for the Waste Options GT3 Pro Series here at the German Sim Racing Club. And lap traffic to boot as Mitchell kills off the pack. We're back down to 4 cars in this battle for the top 10 as That there is Dane Stanley trying to get out of the way. Oh no, trouble with Ryan Jones is off the road. He's going to bowl across the inside, and Hayes collects him as well. Both cars in the runoff are now damaged. Now, there was a message from Dane Stanley here saying, well, he's past right, but he then said past left because he's holding all the way over. In fact, dives to the pit lane track, and then on the rejoin for Jones, Oscar Haynes drills into the rear bumper of the DPR Porsche. Oh man, that's a mess and a half that I'm not even going to try to touch tonight and leave that one in the hands of race control.
Yeah, so unfortunately, it looks like Ryan's got boxed in and he's gone to go to the pit entrance, which isn't really part of the racing track in the sense of attacking. So, then yeah, unfortunately, at the same time, Dane's going to try and get out of the road with all the lead lap cars coming through, and it's just all ended up in a big kerfuffle there. So that's not going well for many people there.
Yeah, indeed. A bit of tactical attempt from Oscar Haynes to use Dane Stanley there as a tactical device to maintain the position.
And the ironic thing is, yeah, so Oscar's the one doing the boxing in, and he's the one that's got collected on the other end of it as well. So it's sort of come back to bite him in the end.
It has, and so much so he's decided that'll do him for tonight. So he's decided to retire immediately. Jones is still on the tow rope, even though we're at turns 1 and 2. So it's going to be a pretty painful wait for Jones. He'll join the lap down group of drivers. Donaldson has just gone past lap traffic is what he's done, so I don't mind that. They're continuing on. The only battle now in the top 5 is here between Josh Fitt and Jared Ambrose. It's not even the top 5, pardon me. It is the 6th and 7th just now without any of their other friends in this race, as Jeff Adams hits the pit lane from just inside the top 10. An 11-lap stint for him. Indeed, going to do a slightly shorter stop to start and slightly longer now to finish off this race. So another driver here making that call to get himself out of the queue early and try and run it home longer in this race. Part of the other pickle for Oscar Haynes is after that incident happened, he picked up an iRacing black flag. So I think the combination of the damage, the tow time, and the penalty that was outstanding was enough to say that is race over for him in this situation. Meanwhile, this is it. This is our battle for now. We do have drivers close who are hovering just over towards the back of the lead lap, but not as close as this between Josh Fitt and Jared Ambrose. Just looking at things, he actually will pick up the race that they're doing Shepherd. On that last lap, we'll lose a bit of time to Eli Donaldson, but the gap has grown from 2 seconds to 5. This cycle completed. So, by all accounts, Shepherd is the man to beat, and will be the securest one in due course. And he will also, of course, gain time on Johnson in the final pit stop if the fuel numbers all align based on how things worked out in that first stint. They're also down, pardon me, probably about a lap or 2 away from hitting the Lamborghini. Maybe 2 to 4 laps for Donaldson. It really depends on what the fuel economy and decisions have been from the Vermilion driver here tonight. He has cleared out ahead of Eli Donaldson, although again, same thing will be with the pit stop time difference. Expect there to be a bit of adjustment there in due course. So there you go. Decision from race control will be to have a closer look at that incident between Oscar Haynes, Ryan Jones, and Dane Snadden as the lapped car that ended up in the middle of all of that after the race. We won't have a decision on that one for you just now, as Shepherd will start his 28th lap of the race. And now comes the question, is this his in-lap, or has he got one more in the tank for us after this? By all accounts, maybe it's close. Maybe he can do it without too much fuss. Donaldson, though, is in. 12 laps in for him, out of fuel in the Vermilion 018. Let's see where he pops out and what his stop time is like, as Ambrose clobbering the apex curb there Actually, he'll join it by ducking in the pits as well here. So the split strategy is starting to come into play, although for Ambrose, don't forget he had one of the longest stops in this one. So hopefully he didn't just wedge himself in a bit of a hole there with a tyre change, we think, and not enough fuel to cover it. Anyway, Donaldson is rolling. Donaldson is back out on circuit behind 29 of Lachlan Pryke. So 12 seconds. He may have had some time to change tyres. Let me just go and quickly see if he chose to do so or not. No tyre change with Eli Donaldson in this final stop.
It's only a quick 7-second stop for Ambrose, so he's just splash and dash to get himself home.
Okay, that's quite an aggressive splash and dash, but given he was at 20 seconds and Donaldson was at 16, the numbers roughly line up. Just maybe a hair difference in economy or just a fuel-saving plan, perhaps, for Ambrose. As Craig Bond has picked up a black flag, I don't think he's on his way into the pits. No, he's crashed. Incident points have claimed Craig Bond here tonight. As into Sagres, the car's already loose. Car has now done a slide, tries to put the power on. Oh no! OPR Porsche, which might be Reese Wakefield. And Wakefield's actually had an issue through the last turn. He's actually crawling into the pit lane as we speak. It is Reese Wakefield, so we come through Sagres. Oh, Wakefield's a slide. It's a slide on out into Craig Bond, so gets himself out of shape, and then we come up over Gulp, and we're looking for something here. Oh, around. And I think all by his lonesome there. He was behind Rob Hill, but I don't think there was anything involved there. Just so tight on the corner. The rear looks to have let go from that angle. Shot.
Yeah, the rear is broken. The rear is broken. You can see the wheel and fender are not lined up properly on that left rear.
Well, there we go. The battle for P2 might just unfortunately have been resolved with a whimper and not a bang. And as it happens now for Donaldson, coming in early, apparently it was a stroke of good fortune. Has to clear Lachlan Pryke, though, on a different strategy. He'll have more fuel in his car, but has been running faster pace this race. The Shepherd has on his 15th lap, so he has picked up the extra lap versus the opening stint, and he's slowing down into the pit lane for your race leaders. So there you go. With just over 10 minutes to go in this one, the final splash for Shepherd is in. As Donaldson to the inside at Portimão. Pryke tries to pinch him down. There's a contact of some kind, and around goes Pryke in the RTR Porsche. For Donaldson to appear here inside of shot, and there appears to be a bit of an air gap there between the two cars, Adam. And in addition to that, my personal opinion is it looks like Donaldson has hit the apex pretty cleanly there as well, so I can't see anything to really assign fault to Donaldson for.
Look like
control to make the decision.
It looked like there was a little bit of net code, and it looked like also the outside car was doing a bit of a squeezy, but it's sort of unfortunately it's not come off well for Pryke, but he's in the lane now to try and cool those tyres off after the slide, get himself back out and try and regain as much track position as possible after that.
And Shepherd 4 seconds ahead of pretty similar at the end of it there, so it looks like for Shepherd just covering his bases there, not really looking to be super aggressive on the refill. So Skordilis leads the race but yet to pit. Vinnie Newen P4 yet to pit. Rodney Gowan here on screen just in front of Jared Ambrose, also yet to pit. And then that is it for the pit stop cycle. Once it happens, as Lachlan Pryke is going down the order. Where is the Rapid Theft at 29 at the moment? I can't see him on circuit, but he is dropping down to 15th place now. That's been about 4 or 5 spots, it feels like, in a couple of corners.
Well, yeah, the spin lost a bit of time, but he's also come out in a group of cars, and unfortunately, not in the right spot. So he's He's lost some extra time having those 4 cars in front of him get past him as he's going to speed.
And meanwhile, Andrew Scordilis has got himself a black flag on pit entry. He will have to kiss goodbye any hope of racing for a podium or competitive position here tonight. That will hurt here at the Portimão circuit. Craig Bond is in with him as well. On board now with the OPR 992. And this is going to purely look like it's a speed thing. Yep, he's... Oh, and insult to injury. He's actually slowed it down.
That's weird. Because he's well early off the speed, so I don't know if that is a speeding one.
In fact, he hasn't actually served the penalties. Come in, taken service, and gone.
Might have to check the iRacing report to see what exactly that penalty was for.
I reckon he might have gotten some contact, netco, that, or he's picked up an off track and gotten an incident point penalty because he's just run a fraction wide on the exit. A bit of a weird one where he's run wide on the exit of turn 14 before going into the pits.
And that would be pretty logical because if he's got to drive through for incident points, that'd be why he couldn't serve the penalty on his pit stop. So that would make sense.
I'll have to wait till after the race to, at least for me to wait till after the race to confirm that. And, well, that is the question mark now hangs over Scordilis, so they'll have to get it cleared before this race can be completed. So Barallon will be released P3. Scordilis, having been in that battle all race long, which was obviously for 4th, now unfortunately it's going to end as Reece Wakefield has apparently got some issues and disappearing off out down the timing tower. Apparently might have dropped away. Yeah. But we'll talk about that later. He's battle here now between
I think he's disconnecting. His progress bar isn't moving. He's stuck at 30.50 laps. And speaking Scordilis is in, so I think this is a drive-through. So the incident point theory is getting more merit here.
Yeah, it's the only penalty that would apply in the case of every other penalty I can think of would be a stop and hold, and therefore he'd serve it with a stop. So there you go. Coming to the end of the pit lane now. That's about all the confirmation we need. He's going to come out behind this pack of cars extending down to Alan Dawson in what was 11th place. It's now obviously 10th. And Pryke and Nick Wood, who go side by side into turn 1 and sweep past the OPR Porsche. It's on for now 11th as they're just outside the top 10 in this race, of course. Work their way up onto turn 4. As yet, unfortunately, we now say officially goodbye to Wakefield with connection issues for him. Inside of 5 minutes to go as Adams up the inside of Piazzanola for 7th place now in this race. They've got themselves Luke King, Dawson, and as I said, Nick Wood, Pryke, Scordilis, all sharing the track here for the most part. So you're going to have to watch out here. And if the racing gets feisty here, we could have ourselves 7 cars scrapping over the last couple of spots in the top 10 here tonight. On board with Luke King now, looking at the back of Aston Martin. As Scordilis has gone around to the Portimão corner, he's going to drop off the back of the group and down to P16. Or 15, sorry, real salt in the wound moment there for him to really finish this one off tonight. As you hear the difference perhaps between the Porsche and the Aston, although relatively balanced. It is the angle from Piazzanola through Tavares, and then attacking the apex early at Gulp. And the run on the starting stretch. Really a bit of defense. Schreier also got a whisper of slipstream perhaps off Jeff Adams, but King's closing. Going to happen right at the end of the straight if he wants it. No, comes back in for now. Play a slightly longer game, although we are at 3 minutes 40 as these drivers enter turn 1. The race there, Dylan Shepherd heading up towards turns 12 and 13, half a lap away there. Will be good to go at the line when we get back around. It's really good through turn 3 as Luke King as we head up towards turn number 5, sorry. And here we go, up to the corner. Piazzolla on the apex. King got a crisscross for us here tonight. He does. Gets the run, and he'll get up on the outside through the kink at turn 6. Piazzolla's still there though, and they squeeze. It is contact at the apex of 7. King backwards, and King loses the rear wing in the fence. So let's have a quick look here at Scordillas on his own, back of the pack, that group we're talking about, and just overdrives, loses the rear, and around it goes for him. Fairly self-explanatory. And now the overhead shot here into turn 7. Piazzolla still there on the inside, and I really do think, yeah, Luke King has done that one to himself, and there's going to be no real further call on that one from race control, at least from that particular shot of the situation. Better go back live when we can. Alan Dawson, the next driver, and now have a crack at the Aston at Piazzolla. Yeah, as we're coming up to 2 laps to go for this group. Your race leader half a lap away. We'll get the white flag next time around. You've also got the battle for P5. Richie Mitchum and Josh Fitt have locked horns here. This is one to also keep an eye on in the closing stages. And a lovely little crisscross at turn 4 for Josh Fitt. Up the inside as we head to turn 5. And it will be done under brakes, and it's a little deep from Fitt. Mitchum tries to crisscross underneath, and he can't get there without clattering into the back of Fitt.
Yeah,
A bit of a block pass there from the Mustang Animal, but it works.
And a little sneaky check up on the apex there just to make sure that the crisscross wasn't on, and he's got away with that. Oh, that Penzola's wide.
It's going to cost him a spot if Nick Wood can hang it around the outside. Up into Samsung turn. It is wide in Pinazzola's hands, and doesn't matter. Nick Wood does find the grip in the entry of Porsche. He'll take the place away. Back to P10 for the Aston Martin. And it's now a Porsche party, P6 through 9. Not quite done in this race, though. Lachlan Pryke would like to dispatch Pianazzola as well. So, we have to be careful of this one here. As update from race control, indeed, no further action is going to be taken on the incident between Luke King and Pianazzola on the last lap. So, they will carry on. Or at least, yeah, Pianazzola can carry on as he will. But white flag was shown to Dylan Shepherd, who's already coming up to turn 7 and 8 on this occasion. These guys will get the confirmation here as they sweep around Gulp. And it's time for them to get a final run of 4.58 kilometres in. Who's got the straight line speed? So looks like the Aston is looking decent in Jordan's hands here to start off the lap. Can he hold on to a top 10 finish here? As Luke King's had trouble at the final turn and a black flag to add insult to injury.
Oh, John Ambrose
And
is disconnected.
guys. Oh, Ambrose too, yes. What is happening here, folks? We've got Luke King still with damage. Yeah, he takes this corner too fast with Gulp, and the car's just going to spit him out and say, yeah, no, I'm not having any of that. But we may want to go back live here and abort the replays real quick if we can, because Dylan Shepherd is already rounding the final turn here, and it's been lights to flag, utter domination by the looks of it. 5 seconds, it will be your margin for week 2 of the Waste Options GT3 Pro Series here at the Algarve National Circuit. Eli Donaldson will come home for Vermilion in second, and it will be 3 cars, 3 teams on the podium, with Northman Motorsports represented by Alex Barallon. Just has to finish up here, of course, on this last couple of turns, but he's got himself a healthy 8-second margin back to Josh Fitt. And come home and lock that one down for him very nicely indeed. Comes from a 10th place finish last time. First podium for him this season. As Pianazzola and Pryke going at it here. 2 turns left. The Porsche got something around the outside. Pryke in the rapid 5th. Oh, he goes away. Side-by-side swing here to the last turn. He gets in front. But because of the disconnect for Ambrose, they will both stay in the top 10. So Pianazzola wasn't losing the spot on the lap. He will still maintain a top 10 finish. Confirmation, and a connection-related dropout and forced return to the pit lane for Jared Ambrose on the final lap. Unfortunately means he will be down the order as well, and it's making a mess over all the tying results here tonight, unfortunately, because of that. But in the meantime, whilst the last couple of drivers bring it home across the line, it's burnouts for Dylan Shepherd as he decides to say goodbye to those Pirellis and leave them behind here as a memento for all the virtual fans at Portimão. 5.3 seconds, the official margin for Shepherd as she lights the flag race winner, with the exception of going one lap shorter in the pits early on in this race, and also a little same in stint 2, but at the end of the day, he wasn't challenged, and therefore good enough in my books when calling it a lights the flag. Eli Donaldson comes home, secures a second place finish, and then it's a healthy margin back. Rallen 30 seconds behind Shepherd for the final place on the podium. And then, as I said, the Josh Fick and Richard Mitchell going to round out top 5. Half a second unit between those two across the line for the DPR and Vermilion cars. And then the next pack of cars that we saw there towards the end of the race. Jeff Adams will end up in P6. Alan Dawson behind him by about a second in 7th. Then a couple of tenths to Nick Wood in 8th. And then Pryke and Pinazola ran at the top 10 there with just 0.08 of a second in it between the two of them. You've then got Leo Dreyer, another 3 odd seconds back. In fact, within the same second there between Dreyer and Newen, the actual exact margin between those two guys as they came across the line was somewhere in the order of 3 and a bit tenths. So pretty close there across the line for those two guys. Andrew Scordelis, 107 behind your race winner. Rough night for him, but unfortunately all of his own making by the looks of it. Rodney Golan in 14th place, and Rob Hill, your last car on the lead lap, minute 30 behind Shepherd there in 15th. Jared Ambrose, unfortunately there, tragically, a disconnection issue sees him lose a lap at the very end of the race. Craig Bond, a couple of troubles for him and penalties handed out by iRacing, see him down 17th. Joined by Brad Coates, Luke King, Stefan Lawrence as the drivers 1 lap down to 20th place. And then from there, we end up with drivers who disconnected or otherwise didn't finish enough laps to be classified here tonight, which means no points for Reece Wakefield, Dane Saturn, Ryan Jones, Oscar Haynes, Jermaine Takaloo, Miles Burgess or Matt Schmicke here tonight for all of them, unfortunately. And with that, here's your race results. It's time to see who will come and join us to discuss the race tonight. The first one in the room is Eli Donaldson, so without further ado, Adam, let's bring the man who came home in P2 tonight in the box. And Eli, the Porsche party was strong once again this week. Also, though, having to go up against quite a few of the OPR guys at the end of the day. You come home in P2 tonight. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. I got bullied the whole race by the OPR boys. Was pretty good. Tried to keep my nose clean. I knew I had a quick race car and just had to find my way to some clean air, and just consistent laps sort of got me there.
I mean, at one point you did hold fast lap, I believe, for a couple of, at least 1 or 2 moments in the race, but end of the day, looks like for Dylan Shepherd, whether it be a bit of extra preparation, good setup, pace just worked for him and was clicked for him as well in that car, as well as the fact that, of course, it was a different car, maybe some balance of performance things as well in there, just mixing things up. Ended up being his night tonight. Was there much more you reckon you could have extracted from the Porsche, or you reckon you had that one pretty dialed up?
That was probably as dialed as I was going to be. I've probably put the most amount of effort in the last 2 weeks, knowing that last week I was got a bit unfortunate, but this week wanted to rebound and show a good performance, so didn't practice as much in qualifying and the qualifying trim, and that's why I was probably 5-6 tenths off the guys in front of me, but had it pretty much dialed in the race and knew that I could lap consistently in that mid to high 40. But yeah, that Lamborghini is just a different beast around here. I don't know if it just has better straight line, or I don't know if the Porsche was as maxed out as she was going to get without being any more on the ragged edge.
Very well. Yeah, I can see here looking through, unfortunately, as you said, a bit of a rough time out last week at Daytona with a P19 classification for you at that race. So obviously, it's a nice rebound to get back here to the podium tonight. So let's sort of start talking about the season. 2 1-hour races down. We go to our first sprint round of the season next week at the Bend, which you obviously, of course, see 2 races out on track. And what do you think about that? They're sort of going away from sort of these longer races where we've got things like tyre strategy as well as fuel choices to make into a bit more out-and-out racing when we come to it next Monday.
I think it's probably going to create a bit more carnage, being that, especially in these cars, cold tyres lap 1, it's all fight for sheep stations, and then you add your element of sprint into it, and it then comes down to there's even more biff and barge. Whereas you've got the regular and the enduro where you can sort of fight, but you can get into a rhythm and then work out what you've got around you if you need to overtake. It's sort of, it brings all of it out. I think we might have some rain in the second sprint next week, which would be interesting depending on how wet it is, if it's full wet or if it's wet to dry, or we'll have to see. But it's all, I think it's really just avoidance of keep your nose clean and just try not to get taken out or have contact with other cars that you can avoid it.
Yeah, indeed. And actually, one last thing on tonight I guess I wanted to come back to, as I said, when it comes to the race strategy. 2 compulsory stops. Fuel ends up being the limiting factor for the most part. But did you take tyres? And I believe we saw you take tyres in the first stop, as did many of your competitors. What did the tyre call end up being for you?
I did some practice, and I've done some races this week, and the left-hand tyres, being that we've got a anti-clockwise or a clockwise circuit, the left-hand tyres just were dead or just overheating. So the plan was always to take 2. I took 2 at the first, and with a little bit of fuel. I didn't know how much fuel to take. I ended up taking 35 litres at the first stop. So plan was always take 2. You're probably not going to have time to take any tyres in the next 2 sprint races that we've got next week. So with the GT3, with the new tyre model coming out last season, sometimes if the tyres aren't taking that much of a beating, it takes none. So I think this week was just because the left-hand tyres were just copping it left, right and centre.
Yeah, no major surprises there, but thanks for the feedback there and the extra insight from the cockpit of your car. I guess one last thing from me would be sort of, obviously GT3 races being a thing you've done plenty of seasons past, and clearly once again here for this season. Anything else on the schedule here with the club, or anything else in particular that's got your attention and comes to racing at this point in time, just sort of, I guess, to flesh things out and where you're at the moment?
I was going to do Porsche Cup because I had a good few results in Porsche Cup end of last season in the old car, and then I drove the new car this season, and it just I don't like how it drives. So to be as far up in these fields, you've got to put as much effort into a series. Kudos to the guys that can do multiple series and be on the pace, but I'm just going to stick to GT3 and just try and be as consistent. This is my best chance this season. Got a little bit of a lighter showing this season with competitors, but still some good guys around. Try and put a good showing together into this GT3 season and go from there.
Indeed, looks like it could be a good chance, as you said. Also an interesting one this season, of course, strong Porsche representation after last week, it would appear, being the preferred car pick. On that, how do you think that's going to affect the season as we go on here, given there's so few other cars that have been chosen at this stage?
I think it's sort of, I think I've looked at it, and obviously this week and last week were good Porsche tracks. I've driven the Porsche for the last 4 or 5 weeks, and then you look at the tracks where you think it's probably going to struggle, and it's got some weather in it. So it's all round, it's not too bad. I mean, when you've got most of the field in the same car, everyone's going to be dealing with the same issues. So it's just how you can execute the quickest race and with the least amount of mistakes.
Adam, I can see you working on the points, so I'm hesitant to sort of interrupt you, but is there anything you wanted to add or ask Eli here before we let him go tonight?
Was on the first stop there, we saw you did take the short stop. Was that in trying to catch back onto the back of Dylan's slipstream, or you just couldn't quite calculate it right, or were you just more trying to get away from the guys behind and build a gap?
I didn't have a number in mind. I was going to be, the first point was going to be, do I just take minimum fuel with 2 tyres and see if I can do that twice? And then it sort of spread out. I was never going to catch Dylan, I don't know if he took tyres in the second stint as well. But it was, I just took 35. I probably could have taken more from what Reese did, but just I was going to do 30 and I went, I'll just put 35 in. And if I did any more, I probably would have been behind Reese a bit longer, which probably worked out not sitting behind him because I was a bit quicker than him overall.
Excellent. Well, thank you for that there, Eli. Before we let you go, in that case, floor is yours. Any thanks or shout-outs you want to give for the result here tonight?
Just all the Vermilion team, Hymo for their setups, and all the guys that we race with, and you guys at Gents for putting this on. Really appreciate everything you guys do and get these events going.
Well, much appreciated. Thanks for joining us here tonight. Eli Donaldson, second place here in the GT3 Pro Sprint from Algarve this week, and the other driver who's standing by looks to be Alex Barallon, our third and final podium place finisher, and we'll introduce him here now. And welcome to the interview room, Alex. Looks like it might be your first time, at the very least this season, after finishing 10th at Daytona last week. How are you feeling about there being the top Mustang here tonight?
Yeah, big thanks, boys. Really. Sorry. Really good. Very tough race out there with some unreal competition. Big congrats to the top 2 boys. They just had way too much pace and such good pace on great tyre wear as well. But can't complain being the top of the Mustangs. And after a very difficult Daytona in the Stang, I'm pretty happy to get some pace here.
Yeah, I guess I was just saying there to Eli at the end, obviously a very strong Porsche representation this season, perhaps a little bit outwardly based on the Daytona's race last week. Well, maybe not, maybe there is something more to the schedule that I haven't really picked into that might see that Porsche come to the fore. But I guess as one of our couple of Mustang drivers so far this season, what sort of got you behind the wheel of the Stang for this one so far?
Well, to be honest, I'm a massive Porsche guy. Like, that's all I drove before jumping in the Mustang, and I was sort of 50-50 on it as well, thinking the same thing as you just said with, doing all the laps for Daytona. And then I thought the start of the season and maybe a couple in the middle will be good in the Porsche, but I thought overall to take it to these big boys, I just need a bit of consistent pace throughout the entire season. So I feel like in the Porsche, some tracks, say even next week at the Bend, if it was dry, I personally think the Mustang is like half a second faster than the Porsche. So it's just a consistency thing over the whole season. But I mean, everyone's proving it wrong at the moment. I'm glad to see the Porsche get some limelight because it deserves it. It doesn't get it enough in the officials. So just a bit of consistency, to be honest, over the entire season.
Well, that'll be interesting to play out then indeed, and we'll have to see how it goes. Let's again just sort of focus in on tonight for you. Qualified 5th, and you're able to work your way up to 3rd. With a 60-minute race and the 2 compulsory stops, plus the fuel restrictions and how that affects whether you can take tyres or not, was there much of a game plan going into it all tonight, or were you sort of letting the race come to you and adjusting as you went?
There was definitely a bit of a game plan. Like, my plan was originally just to take 3 tyres in the first stop and then take nothing in the second, just a little splash and dash. But good old me in the heat of the moment forgot to turn off 4 new tyres in the last stint, so sort of sat there a bit longer and then lost some time on cold tyres for the last stint. But again, with the fast boys in this series, you got to try and think of something, because just to be outright faster than everybody in this series is just, you'd be kidding yourself if you think you're that good, to be honest, and everyone's going to be stronger somewhere else. So you sort of have to think of something to try and separate yourself. But tonight, you sort of started working and then made a bit of a mistake, but it turns out alright in the end.
Yeah, well, fair points there indeed. Speaking of the season to come, as you said, the Bend will be up next week. It's also our first sprint round for this season, so the pit stops will be less of a factor. Actually, pardon me for saying it like that. We have ourselves 13 lap race 1, 22 lap race 2 with 1 compulsory stop. So there will still be a pit element to next week's racing, but Eli perhaps thinking that the sprint racing might be a little more chaotic, given you've got to go through the opening laps twice over at race starts. Would you expect similar, or perhaps there might be some restraint on the table, although there was also apparently the threat of some potential rain to add to the mix too?
With the rain aside, I think, you know, everyone's been pretty respectful so far that I've raced against, but you have to take your chances in this split. You know, if you hesitate, someone else is going to go up your inside. So, yeah, I think it will be a bit chaotic, but, you know, everyone so far that I've raced against has been really clean. So we'll see what happens. But then, yeah, if it rains, you know, rain always just puts everything up in the air. So it could be clean, could be chaotic. You know, I finished on the podium today. I could not even finish next week. So just take it one lap as it comes, each position as it comes, and that's really it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the race server conditions are locked in stone, but I can tell you, based on the server being available already, 98 to 99% chance of rain in practice, potential for a bit of rain in the virtual hours between qualifying and the heat race, and then a 99 to 100% chance of rain prior to and completely through the feature race next week. So that is what our drivers in the Pro Split at this stage, if it doesn't change, going to be up against when it comes to the weather. So it looks like get ready to put your boots on, because it's going to get wet out there. And yeah, I guess that might just do it for there. I guess the season in general, as you said, could be a whole bunch of opportunities. Any tracks in particular out of the Bend or Monza, Adelaide, Bathurst, Nürburgring, Misano, Sachsenring, and Road America that particularly you're looking forward to or think are going to be strong or races where you've got good potential?
Hopefully Nürburgring, but that's it's a bit far away, so hopefully I can be up on the podium talking to you boys a couple more times by then. But I'm sure, you know, we'll be competitive anyway, sort of everywhere. Just a big shout out to the Northwind Motorsport boys. You know, we're relatively new team, but we've already got Cam in AM winning back-to-back, and a lot of the other boys putting in mega effort. So we'll all work out a way and help each other get up the front, and yeah, should be good fun for the rest of the season anyway. Hopefully some strong results and a win in the near future.
Yeah, indeed. Still 8 weeks to go. Plenty of potential on the table. Well, in that case, Alex, you've already shouted out the team, but to the team or anyone in particular or anyone else you'd like to give a shout out to, the floor is all yours.
Thanks again. Just want to thank everybody that puts on the races. You know, it's unreal to be able to come home and, you know, go to work and talk about the league and have some fun. And just again, all the Northwind Motorsport boys. You know, it's been an unreal last few weeks with Daytona and just new people coming to the team, and it's been absolutely unreal. You know, we're all growing together, having laughs, and just really looking forward to what the team's going to bring in all divisions of the league and Porsche Cup and everything. So yeah, just a big shout out to those boys and all the sponsors for the team.
Actually, there is one last thing I have for you then in that case. I asked it of you. I didn't think to ask it of you, and I apologise for it. But yeah, is there any other racing at the moment here in the club or elsewhere that's drawing your focus, or otherwise you're putting a bit of effort into? I guess it's cool to hear a bit more about where you're at, what you're up to.
Primarily, I'll focus on GT3 because you just have to be on top of your game every single week. But you know, I did Porsche Cup last week, and I've been put up into the elite division for that. So yeah, keen for Monza, but that's it really. Just chuck in between the Porsche Cup and the GT3, and yeah, that's really it. Just focus on the GT3. There's so many amazing drivers on iRacing in general, and again in the league. So just got to try and become the best of all the good boys. So that's really it.
Well, thank you very much then, Alex, for joining us. And Adam, I can just quickly, before we let Alex go, confirm that points at this stage look like they're more or less up to date for round 2. It will take a few little things you're tweaking. Because if so, there they are on screen now. you might have said you had a bit of an average round one, Alex, but at this stage you walk away our current championship leader going into the Bend next week.
Aha. Yeah, right. Up the Northwind, boys. We'll keep it going. That's us on top in amateur and pro split. So, yeah, let's keep it going.
There you go. Thank you for joining us here, Alex. Enjoy the rest of your night and the rest of the racing, be it this week or early next week when you get back in the Mustang.
You two boys, have a good night.
And that looks like it'll do us for pro split interviews here tonight from Portimão. And whilst, of course, we've been watching the racing here, of course, as you know, there are 3 different splits on offer here in the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club, and we are joined by club committee member and Pro-Am competitor Greg Heaney. And Greg, whilst we don't have results for Algarve in the spreadsheet, but we do have it here on screen now. P9 for you by the looks of things, so not too bad of a showing. Could have been P8 if only by 2/10.
Yeah, I just want to give Derek Fitzgerald a huge shout. I was keeping him honest for the last 10 to 15 minutes of that round. Had a couple of moves that tried to get him done, couldn't quite get him done. It was as clean as you like. Yeah, a huge shout out to Derek for the very enjoyable finish to that race. But a huge shout out to my guys as well. We had Paul Wood with us, obviously not racing for us, but with us in chat. So well done to Paul as well for getting a good finish there. Yeah, we had a bunch of guys on track tonight. I think we were probably about 4 cars or 5 cars inside the top 20. So it was a pretty hectic race. For some of the boys at the back, not so good turnout or finish for a couple of the other guys. Power problems and so forth for Will, unfortunately, and Andrew did all right after his early race mistake to manage to claw himself back inside the top 20 as well. So
yeah, interesting to hear that one there indeed, because Jeff Adams up to P6 tonight in the pro split. Just having a quick look through other drivers here. Unfortunately for Luke King down to 19th. They were your 2 drivers who finished.
I was going to say we had Matt Schmidt in there as well. Apparently he may have been bundled out near the start somewhere. I haven't spoken to him because I think he probably disconnected from Discord.
Yeah, indeed. Dane Snadden, unfortunately for Dane, a bit of drama whilst he was lap traffic, which is yet to be resolved by race control. And yeah, for Matt, bit of an unforced error, a small mistake on cold tyres, which unfortunately turned him into a bit of a cannonball. That picked up one other driver in the process for him, unfortunately. But circling back to Jeff, his P6 in the pro split tonight actually elevates him to 3rd in the championship standings at this stage. Although, of course, indeed early days, given we've got another 8 races to go. But yeah, I guess talk us through the Pro-Am race if you can, real quick. How did it all play out there? We can see it was a 12-second win for Luke Page there on screen, but looks like there's plenty of battles through the field there in your split.
Yeah, it was good little battles all over the place from what I could tell. And I think it's just a waiting game now. Paul and myself were both contemplating if we are actually going to end up in the pro split next week, which we're both hoping we don't because we're having a good run in the Pro-Am split. But we'll see what happens. If it happens, it happens, and then it's like, all right, cool. Now we've just got to improve from here and see if we can push forwards within that. After talking with Jeff and Luke and so forth, our average times probably would have put us somewhere in about the mid-pack of the pro guys. So we're not doing too bad. And most of that, I think Paul had a car within a second each way, and I was about the same. So yeah, if we weren't battling so hard, we might have been a little bit faster ourselves. But for the most part, it was as clean as you like. I was actually at one point going to ask Travis in race control if he was still awake.
Yes, okay. Interesting to hear those points there. I guess real quick on that also, from me, I just want to ask the race strategy, how things played out with there, of course, with the way fuel, compulsory stops, potential for tyres. Do you think you made the right calls on that front tonight for yourself and the guys racing in your split there tonight, or even perhaps it sounds like you've been talking with Jeff and Luke at points as well during the race, despite being in the different splits?
Well, the guys in the pro were in their own channel, so we're not talking over the top of everybody to confuse everything. But during the race, I stopped at about 21 to 22 minutes in, took 3 tyres, and then had to nurse it somewhat for about a lap to get temperature up in the tyres I'd changed. So it might have cost me a little bit of time there. And then last stop was about 18 minutes or so from the end, and just put the fuel in and sent it. So it was certainly a little bit sketchy for the last couple of laps, but no, it held on, so that was the main thing.
Well, that's all you really need at the end of the day, I guess. And yeah, we'll call that there a wrap for the racing tonight. But of course, the Bend coming up next week. It's our first sprint round. Now, let's just speaking as part of speaking to Alex there. Looks like it's going to be a pretty wet race for the pro split, and it's the same conditions I'm seeing scheduled for the Pro-Am. Now, I don't know whether you're more privy to the fact whether it's that could change from here on out, or the fact that we're seeing that means it's locked in and settled for next Monday night. But,
I reckon your probably safe bet would be is bring your gumboots.
It's looking pretty dicey in the feature race, and practice will give the drivers a chance, by the looks of it, to also get their eye in. The other big thing is there's very high air temperatures, so I would expect that if there's periods where the rain stops, it's going to dry out a bit quicker than we normally see, unless the wind is practically zero. No, the wind is not zero, it's actually quite strong as well. So consider yourselves warned, ladies and gentlemen, and I presume the AM split will be similar based on what I am seeing between Pro and Pro-Am sharing.
Yeah, I would expect that all three should be pretty well close to the same thing. So now it's just up to the luck of the gods within iRacing to see what the servers actually produce, I suppose.
Yeah, that is very true. It could go many a way in that one next week then. But with that, Greg, we might leave it there for tonight, and say any shouts, thanks you want to give, anything you want to sort of hint about, say Wednesday night with the Aussie Legends and the Supercars coming up under your stewardship. Maybe if anything has changed since last Wednesday night when we last spoke.
No, nothing else has changed with those. I have, however, for the greater community of the gents, obviously there was a report that they ran a little bit short on fuel last week. We have corrected the servers to make sure that they won't run short on fuel on the different forms of races that we've done. So we've made the adjustment to that. So that's all sorted across all servers. The Legends, I'd love to see more cars than we had last week, because those things are an absolute ball of fun to drive. I think we had about 30 cars on the track, or 25, 30 cars on the track last week. I reckon if we can get a full grid, it will absolutely make for a very, very entertaining race, or a couple of races next week actually with the sprints. So yeah, we're also contemplating adjusting the schedule layout for the Legends, possibly going towards the similar format we had to the Formula Vs, with a 3-race format through the whole thing. Haven't decided if we're going to do that yet. We'll probably have a little bit of a chat about that tomorrow in our bi-weekly meeting, but we'll see what comes of it. But yeah, apart from that, shout out to the guys that all towed up for tonight. Shout out to Project X for their support. We've got Pumps and Pipes, and also Disruptive Labs on the car as well. So yeah, huge shout out to those guys for the support. And yeah, that's about it.
Well, there we are. Thank you very much, Greg Keeney, joining us from the Pro-Am split tonight, as well as, of course, some of the inside information from the club committee that at least can be shared at this point in time. And that looks like it's going to do our interviews for tonight, unless there's anything, Adam, you wanted to chuck in here for Greg before we start closing off.
I think most of it covered. It was a pretty good chat.
Well, there we go. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, Greg, and look forward to seeing then what the racing will deliver on Wednesday night. It's a shame, actually, in some respects, I can't get in the car and join you lot, but someone's got to be here to call the broadcast, and I did agree to do that before all this kicked off.
Always next time.
Next time, it maybe, is something that is definitely true. Just a question of exactly when it'll all come down. Well, with that, Adam, is there anything else to look at before we close off? Whether it be broadcasts for the rest of the week, or whether we transition to signing off and thanking the club sponsors here tonight, or even GT3 AM results, if those were on hand and we wanted to have a quick look at those to get the full look at things around the grounds, as it were. In fact, there you go, actually right on cue. This is our GT3 AM results from Algarve tonight, and it looks like maybe Cameron Dakin coming away with a 15-second win. So how about that? 5 seconds for Shepherd, 12 seconds for Pro-Am race winner, which, pardon me, I already blanked on who that was. And then 15 seconds for Cameron Dakin. So it really looks like a case of if you weren't winning by many seconds, you weren't clearly having a dominant race, although I'd say for all three drivers who win in that case, pretty strong night out as a result. Jesse McMenamin there and Nathan Harvey rounding out our GT3 AM split podium. You can see there 4/10 between Atkins and Woodhouse for fourth place. That's the closest margin there in the top 10. So Tony Baker also had the pace to go with Dakin. Maybe some issues there for him. 20 instant points. Looks like he's triggered the drive-through limit, I suspect. Would I be right in that suspicion, Adam?
I think 20 is the limit in the AM for the normal races, I believe. Yeah, I think either 20 in the normal and 23 in the enduro, I believe, on top of my head. So he's probably just snacked that.
Which would explain why he's got the fastest lap of the race and was on pace. On pace at Dakin, but ends up nearly a minute behind. Maybe something else in there to boot as well. So there's your top 10 from GT3 AM split. To conclude a look at all the racing that's happened tonight at Algarve here for the Waste Options GT3 series. And as we sign off here tonight and start talking about our sponsors, first a quick look, of course, and a reminder that the club have the active merch store, both for club merchandise primarily, but also a little bit of team merchandise as well for teams that have arranged that with the club. So merch.tgsrci.com is where to go to have a look at that stuff there if you're interested in supporting the club through having some physical goods to go to keep at home for yourself and to rep the club out and about, if it's a shirt or a singlet or a hoodie or even a bucket hat there as well. But of course, the club, as much as it's made possible by everyone coming here to race and for the committee members who show up to organise everything, there are sponsors that are making all of this possible here across season 2026A. And of course, they've been scrolling across the top of your screen, but to point them all out here in order, to Disruptive Labs, Richo and the team for once again continuing to support the club as a whole as the title sponsor for the club, and then also sponsoring GT4 Series and GTE Championship on Thursday and Friday nights respectively. To Waste Options here, of course, our title sponsor of Monday night racing for both wings and slicks in the SFLs and the GT3 Series for as many seasons as I can recall now since I've become engaged with the club here on a Monday night. Next sponsor, I suspect, will that be Trophy AI? It will indeed, of course, be Trophy AI, our recurring sponsorship of the Supercar Series on a Wednesday night, and also an AI training coach to help you get faster here on the iRacing service. To the merch store, as we've just been talking about there with the graphic on screen. Support the club through getting yourself some merch at merch.tgsrci.com. And then last but not least, John at Flash Graphics for any of your iRacing livery needs, be it for your team, for yourself, or perhaps a little something for stuff like the Mountain Men come Saturday night. So that's the racing for tonight, but it's the start of a new week here at the GSRC, and there's plenty of racing action to come your way. No broadcast, unfortunately, tomorrow night, at least officially, and probably will still that way, unfortunately. But the Downforce Legends take to the track at Circuito de Nevada on the medium configuration in the Radical SR8s. 2 sprint races there. Make sure to get in the server about 10 minutes. 10 minutes earlier. Qualifying kicking off at 8 p.m. Oh, sorry, 7:50 p.m. AEDT. With that race start there as scheduled for 8 p.m. AEDT. 15 minutes and 25 minutes with a reverse top 10. And then following that will be the GSRC Formula 1 Retro Championship in Watkins Glen. And to be specific as to which version of Watkins Glen that will be, pardon me, I want to find it, the classic boot configuration. So you will get the full course there. And thanks to the fact that the Lotus 79 does have rain tyres, although it's a 2% chance of rain for the 79. So looks like it probably won't happen, but it's iRacing, who knows. Qualifying there will kick off at 12 minutes before the scheduled start of 9:20, so get yourself in the server by about 9:05 AEDT to be sure that you can join the racing action, because the sprint rounds may lock you out before qualifying starts. Then, of course, Wednesday night, set to be back on the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, will play host to the Aussie Legends Supercars Support Series, and of course the Trophy AI Supercars Series. But we are looking at having the national course layout and then the historic course layout to mix things up there. Sprint rounds, same format as mentioned for the Downforce Legends and the Retro F1s for the Aussie Legends for now. Obviously, of course, noting there Greg Heaney's comments, we may go to a super sprint format come Wednesday night, and for the supercars it will be 40-minute race around the tyre burner of Catalunya, and a compulsory stop there to worry about, so that may be something to watch out for. And then, continuing the broadcast coverage will be the Disruptive Labs GT4 Challenge to kick things off on Thursday night, broadcasting from 7:40 p.m. AEDT, and qualifying from 7:35 p.m. if you're keen on racing, so make sure you're in again by that qualifying time, not the race time, on the screen at 7:45 due to the lockout from iRacing as they tackle the streets of Long Beach in another of the 15-minute, 25-minute sprint round formats. And then the GSRC Porsche Cup, which will be split coverage at the Autodromo Internacional de Monza. The 9-lap sprint race will feature the Porsche Open Cup server, and then after a short warm-up, coverage will transition to the Porsche Elite Cup race for the 14-lap feature. So we'll get underway just before 9 p.m. For broadcast. Qualifying is 12 minutes, so get in the server by 8:45 p.m. AEDT on Thursday night for the Porsche Cup cars, regardless of split. And we look forward to seeing all of that there. And then, last couple of things for the week will be, of course, the Disruptive Labs GTE Championship on Friday night as that heads to the Bend GT circuit for a 60-minute regular race to open things up there with a guaranteed pit stop based on the rules set up that we saw last time at Silverstone. And then we'll spin the wheel during said broadcast to determine what car we are taking to Bathurst Mount Panorama for the second week of the Mountain Men. Just note that will actually be a 32-lap race. Looks like that's the 50-lap reminder. It will come eventually for week 10 on that one there. For Friday night broadcast, starting at 8:25 p.m. AEDT. If you want to get on the racing action, well, you can get in as late as 8:30, but you'll miss qualifying, which is a 30-minute session. So if you want to get a representative lap time on the board, get into that race server on Friday night by 8 p.m. AEDT. And similar thing for the Mountain Men, you've got a full hour of qualifying, so 7:30 p.m. AEDT for qualifying, 8:30 p.m. green flag on both Friday night and Saturday night. And then we wrap around to next Monday to conclude week 2 and a look at week 3. The Wings and Slicks Waste Options Super Formula Lights Championship will head to Okayama for the next 30-minute race of the season, starting at 7:45 p.m. AEDT. It's a short 10-minute qualifying session, so you can jump in at 7:35 for that, drivers, and broadcasting from 7:40. And the last but not least on this here, wrapping around to the next time, Waste Options GT3 head out on track for a wet and wild racing at the Bend by the looks of it. It will be the Pro-Am and the Am split sharing the broadcast coverage next time out, folks. So if you've been enjoying the Pro action but looking to see and support drivers in the lower splits, next week is the time to do so. Race 1, 13-lap sprint, will be the coverage of the AM server, and then for the 22-lap feature race, we will cut across to the Pro-Am split and get you the action from there for your Monday night broadcaster next week. So that'll be 8:40 p.m. so the start time, but main theme being racing from 8:45 p.m. with the sprint format. Once again, get yourself in by 8:30 AEDT next Monday night if you wish to race in the Waste Options GT3 series in any of the 3 splits. Well, I think that'll do it there. Adam, was there any final words you wanted to add in there? Any drivers perhaps you thought had a solid race here tonight that we perhaps didn't really sort of focus on between interviews and of course doing Shepherd our race winner tonight?
So pretty well. It was good to see some good pack racing, even with the pit stops. People came back out and resumed battles. Lachlan Pryke, obviously we saw him have a couple of issues, but he still managed to come out as the best improved, so he gets some bonus points there, so that's good work for him. And yeah, just unfortunate, a couple of guys got caught up in some bit of unfortunate incidents there where things didn't quite go the way they planned. It's never good, but on that, we'll hopefully see them bounce back next week for another attack at the track. And otherwise than that, just apologise obviously with the start of the stream being a bit rushed, given the SFL started 8-10 minutes earlier than scheduled and caught us off guard, plus Zach's power outage. So managed to get it all done. So hopefully, as much as it wasn't the ideal start to the show, hopefully everyone still enjoyed the broadcast, and we'll see you on Wednesday.
Very well indeed, yes. And whether it's Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, or next Monday night, come and join us here at German Sim Racing Club if you catch us live, of course. Otherwise, watch back the broadcast on YouTube at your leisure. We hope you've enjoyed all the racing here on a Waste Options Monday night. My name has been Daniel Yeaman. It's been covering for Zach Caban here during the GT3 splits. Congrats to Marcus Watson for race 1 win in the SFLs, and to Dylan Shepherd for winning the GT3 Pro Split here at Algarve tonight, and of course as well as our GT3 Pro-Am and Am winners in their respective servers, podium finishes and the like as well. Hope you've enjoyed the coverage. My name is Daniel Yeaman on behalf of Adam Mavis here on production, as well as the rest of the club here. Thank you all for watching. Have yourselves a good day, evening or night, whenever it may be that you watch. We hopefully will catch you anytime this week or next week if you're looking for SFLs and GT3 to return.